welcome to a new episode of Lisa's Lair. I am your host, British Lisa. We have a new format for the show. I am officially British for 2 hours now. Just kidding, I'm not at all, actually. But welcome. Hello, everyone. Hello, Cert. Hello, EG. Hello, Retro. Hello. Half the people in the chat are already in tech check right now, so nice to have you here. So if you guys have been watching the show before, normally I have gameplay on the second half, but since no one really cares, no, just kidding. But since we don't really want to have gameplay, we want to just focus on the creators. We're just going to make it a talk show, which is great. It's fantastic. Also, it takes out a bunch of technical difficulties, and I don't have to download a new game every week. So now, this format is going to be me interviewing streamers, comedians, any sort of entertainer, influencer that I like, and I'm going to be just going deep dive into their careers, and I'm going to turn them into a nerd, or just get into the nerdy stuff. So I appreciate everyone here who has supported the show so far, and if you're here for the first time, I hope you come back and follow me and all the creators. I should just reintroduce myself. My name is Lisa Wallen. I am a creator here at EG, and I'm also a streamer and a stand-up comedian and a writer. Jack of all trades, I guess, at EG. And now I am my very own talk show host. So, now that I got through that quick introduction, I have a very, very special guest today. Not only are they one of my favorite people in the entire world, they're one of my favorite comedians I've ever worked with, one of my favorite comedians that I've seen live, and he's also the host of the Codex History of Video Game Podcast. Let's bring up your special guest today, Mike Coletta! Yay!
Yay! Hello, Lisa.
Hello, is Mike Coletta, my favorite British comic.
I was really loving the commitment to the British up front.
I was like, this new show is just going to be just British Lisa for 2 hours, but my stream already has to suffer through that for like 4 hours, so I'm not going to do that to EG. I need EG to keep me here. I don't need him to fire me. So
They don't need chimney sweep Lisa just ruining everything.
They don't need Dark Souls NPC Lisa coming into here and explaining the lore of a sword. But Mike, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here. And I have talked about you on my personal streams before because, I mean, I talk about you and I talk about Monica Nevi a lot. And I know Sir, who's in the chat right now, has seen Monica live. And
yeah.
I know that I plugged your History of Video Games podcast because this is a video game channel, but you also have a podcast with Monica. So that just gives you tons of cool points for my stream.
That's right. HugLife Podcast with me and Monica. We've been doing it for like 7 years now.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's been a long. I'm impressed, honestly.
Do you just talk about hugs every week?
We try to like positive spin things. So we've positive spin like traffic or like that's like the basic one.
Positive spin traffic.
I think the most recent thing we positive spun because I was doing comedy in Vegas, which entails being there for like 6 days. So we spun like being on vacation for too long. Was like one of the most recent things we've spun.
How long were you in Vegas for? I didn't even ask.
I was there, 6 days.
Oh, that's way too long to be in Vegas.
What's funny is the first time I went to Vegas, I did that with like my now fiance and like friends in college. We're like, we're gonna go to Vegas. We got a crazy deal, like 4 nights, 5 days, and like day 2, we all wanted to go home. Just all of us were like, we're ready to go.
Vegas is just like all bad things on one strip. It's like it's too much in a condensed area, and after like 2 days, even if you're not drinking, you're like, this is too much energy around me. Like I need to go sleep in my hotel room. Yeah, 5 days sounds like I don't get comedians that move there. Like I'm like, I guess there's yeah, it's good work, but I would just be exhausted. Especially like, I mean, that's like maybe in my early 20s, that would have been great. But now it's like, if I go to Vegas, I just want to eat Taco Bell Cantina, which you've mentioned.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I shouldn't have that much access to Taco Bell Cantina at one period of time. There's no way it should be allowed.
It's also so expensive, but like now that I've gone to Vegas like 7 times, I feel like I'm really smart at it. You just go to the Walgreens, you buy your cups, and then you buy your booze, and you just make your own drinks. And you walk around with them. No one notices.
I think that what you're telling me is I was not smart about it the last time I was there. That's what I'm learning from this.
Or you can buy one of those giant 40-ounce bong-looking drinks and
a boozy Baja Blast ran me over $20, but it was worth it. It was really worth it.
Baja. Okay, now I have to try that next time I go.
Oh yeah, you gotta go. You got to get that nacho fries, giant boozy Baja Blast. That's
I
the
like
way.
how you and I immediately go into food talk
We
because
pretty much do that all the
this
time.
is I don't know. Okay, I don't know if anyone really knows this, but Mike is like one of my best friends I've met through comedy, which is shocking because I don't have a lot of close friends, even though I've been doing comedy for almost a third of my life now. But we do the Nom Nom Shamans is what we
Ooh,
call
the nom
it.
nom sham,
Yeah, the Nom Nom Sham.
little
It's
nom nom
m
sham.
it's me, Mike, and, like, a couple of our other comedian friends. We get together and we basically just eat.
Well, we show each other new places to eat. Like
That is true. There's an
you,
incentive.
you made amazing hot pot that one time, and I'd never had hot pot before, and that was so good.
Yes, and you guys are all like, "I don't know if I like kimchi," not knowing that there's kimchi in the broth.
Yeah, that completely changed the game. I also tried the rice dogs from you for the first time.
Yes, the Korean
You
rice
took me
dogs.
there. Yeah, those are so good too. And
I
then
have al
I took you to Din Tai Fung because you'd never been to Din
We
Tai Fung.
did. We had Din Tai Fung. We've also had lots of barbecue.
So much barbecue.
We also have had pastries. We had dochi. We've
Oh yeah,
had
tasty
tasty
dough.
dough. Oh my
Oh,
god,
tasty
this
dough.
is all local references, by the way, guys. Sir,
Tasty dough is beyond a local reference to me. It should be at this point. People should
international reference.
know. It's just like a cream puff filled with what tastes like vanilla ice cream. It's
It
amazing.
is the most amazing thing ever. I think I've told Sir about this before. Sir is one of my mods who lives in Tacoma and comes out to a lot of shows. And hopefully we'll come to see you one day because you are very hilarious
Oh, that would be
and
amazing.
very talented.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before to you, Mike, but you were one of the reasons why I started writing nerdy jokes on stage.
Oh, really? That's so
Yeah.
nice. That
I
makes me
actually did
happy.
not know any other comedians that wrote, like, nerd material. I don't like saying that because, like, all comics are nerds, but, like, actually have, like, material around video game and niche stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it was your Halo joke.
Oh man, the Halo joke. Yeah, I think it's weird because I definitely have felt this shift because I started like almost it'll be 12 years in like June 10th or something like that for me to start. And when I started, I had nerd jokes, and it definitely has become more popular over the course of me doing
It
stand up.
is, and, I didn't write my anime joke until, like, 2017 or 18. Like, I was, because like, every comedian was, like, not writing nerd material, and I tried to do, like, a Zelda joke before that, and it never went well, except for I got one fan from my one Zelda joke I had on stage, and he works for Nintendo, and now I'm, like, really close with him, and he's,
So
like,
I
a
think that's
big
a
he
win.
yeah, that was a win, and then he managed to get me, like, tickets to E3, so I was like, "Okay, that one shitty joke I had from 5 years ago played off one time," and
Although
that was
saying you have one fan from this joke, that a guy that works at Nintendo is like the modern version of my uncle works at Nintendo, kind
that's
of a little
basically
bit.
it. This guy I know works at Nintendo, or it's like saying my boyfriend goes to a different school, you don't know
Yeah.
him. I was gonna ask though because it's funny having to like interview you because like we've done so many shows together and we're both comedians, but you've been doing comedy much longer than I have. Because I started like 8 years ago, and there was about, I think when I started there was like 150 comedians. I remember just seeing people's mutual friends being, wow, there's a lot of comedians here, but it must have not been like that when you started.
No, I was like, if you want to call it like a boom, because some people call it like a comedy boom, I started in 2010 and I was doing the road in like 6 months, maybe even less than 6 months. Like I was going out and doing shows in like bars and hotels in Eastern Washington, like doing 25 minutes when I only had 10 minutes, like
Comedy
six
boomer.
months in. Yeah, I'm a comedy boomer, I guess you could say. I guess that is what it is. But it's funny because I found my old notebooks because I keep all my jokes, and I found a weekend at Joker's in Richland, Washington, which is still a real club, and it says like 10 minutes of material, and then I wrote 10 minutes of crowd work like in the notebook because I just had to rely on that because I didn't have any jokes.
You just say that on stage, 10 minutes of
And I'm
crowd
like,
work.
oh shit, I guess I gotta say something. I just start
And
asking people questions. And like,
well, it's so funny now because like I saw this tweet recently about how it's like doing comedy now because I feel like if you start doing stand up now, it's easier. I I think like 5 years ago it was harder than ever because everyone was doing stand up. And now I think it's easier because all you have to do is have one good clip on TikTok and then you blow up.
Mhm.
Like, that's
True.
same thing with, like, music and stuff. I'm like, that's crazy to me that this is where it's gotten to, like, in comedy. Oh my
Yeah.
god, we're generational comics now.
I am. I'm an old man comic. It's weird. It feels really weird because I don't feel very old, but I definitely go to these mics and I'm like, look at all these new young kids. They don't even know
Right.
what's going on. These
Look at all these
whippersnappers.
look at them just saying their tweets on stage.
Yeah,
You
look at
need more
them.
time than that, son, okay? It's also hard to do comedy here because you have seen a lot of clubs open and close. Because you were
Yeah.
probably around when Giggles started.
I started at Giggles. It was my
Yeah,
first mic with our dear friend JR Berard, who I love dearly.
we love
And
JR.
he took me to my first mic and I was there and then I got bumped the first week. The second week I went up, Jack, who was the bartender, came up to me. He's like, "You want to do a show this weekend?" And I was like, "It's happening. It's
That's
already
how long
happening.
it
This is
took?
amazing." And then I get ready to go to the show the day of. JR calls me, "Hey, Giggles closed permanently." Like I started 2 weeks before the club closed.
That happened to me with the Parlor in Bellevue.
Yeah.
I was supposed to host a weekend and they closed, and they didn't pay me for the previous weekend. So you still owe me money, by the way.
Yeah. Parlor Comedy
You
Club.
still owe me
Where's
like
Lisa's money?
you still owe me like $300. It's fine. But yeah, I remember that because there was also the old Seattle Comedy Underground.
Yeah, that was the one that made me so sad because that's where I went after Giggles is the Comedy Underground in Seattle. It's been around forever. It changed locations, but it's the quintessential basement comedy club. There's brick walls, it's dark, low ceilings, like it's the perfect environment for stand-up comedy. And the manager at the time, whose name was Carl, was like awesome and was like really nurturing and he cared and he helped you and he'd put you up or he'd help you out, which was great. He was a mentor of mine, and it was super sweet. And that place closed because of over the pandemic. I
Yeah,
think
I
they
know.
closed.
It was really hard because it's like a staple of Seattle just became the stereotypical victim of gentrification, and it was
They,
just but also had a
yeah.
bad it had a lot of bad things. Like that
Oh,
wasn't just it. Yeah.
I mean, you hear rumors in the '80s of people getting paid in cash or cocaine, like the classic comedy club stuff going on there. They also had the weird murals. Do you remember
I
the
saw
murals in the
2
Comedy
yes.
Underground?
I also saw when I had a show there one time, 2 of the cooks were fist fighting each other. So, like,
That's what it was
places
like.
had a
There was
very
a
rich history with
There was
it.
a chef that would just yell at you for no reason. The mural on the wall next to the comics, it had like every random Seattle character you can
Oh,
think
yeah.
of on
Like
it. And
JP Patches,
yeah, and then Jimi
Bruce
Hendrix, of
Lee.
course. Bruce Lee's there. They're just all sitting watching comedy with you.
I
That's the
like
whole
how Mitch
goal.
Hedberg was, like, their big name because I feel like it wasn't didn't Mitch Hedberg, like, get a start there?
Yeah, it was one of the places he started. He started at the Comedy Underground and he did the Seattle International Comedy Competition, which is what they were like known for in the 90s and the early 2000s. And that's how like a lot
Wow.
of friends that we have got really big was like the Seattle International Comedy Competition. Like Gabe Rutledge, Kermit Apio, people that
Yeah,
are like really amazing
people
comedians that
that
are
we
like
love.
local. Yeah, that are great. They're so funny. And they all have like dry bar specials and stuff, so you could watch them. They're
Yeah,
fantastic.
I would love to do Sick one time, but it's like now it's just like getting into it is just so
It's
it's
also
just
weird. It's just weird now because I think it doesn't the Comedy Underground's not there. It just feels different,
it's
you
the
know?
charm is gone.
My hope is it comes back, you know? Because I was convinced that club was like a cockroach and would never die. It would survive everything, but it just couldn't survive this, unfortunately.
We do have like this doesn't need to be all sad. We do have a good club in Seattle. We have Club Comedy now, which is doing really
Great
great.
club.
But like it is very odd to live in a city that's like so surrounded by art and music to have like a very mediocre like stand-up support system. Like it's like
Yeah.
yeah, like it's mainly like yeah, like bars and breweries and like the producers here are amazing and all of them are comics because like we have to produce our own shows to get booked now. But like it is very odd to you would think Seattle would be like a thriving place for comedy
Yeah.
clubs.
I think
But
that's the cool thing about now though is like we're in this transition period with stand-up comedy where it's no longer about clubs or about
yeah.
like weird gigs in the middle of nowhere. It's comedians running their own shows and it's going really well and it's exciting. And also it's like a way you get more money that way, which is awesome.
And also, it has been really great post-pandemic because I feel like it weeded a lot of the bad stuff from comedy. Like the like crappy low-paying producers,
Yeah.
the people who shouldn't have been performing, like,
Mhm.
not naming names, but, like, I feel like having a reset was really good, and it's also why I really enjoy doing it now. It's just
Yeah.
kinda hard with balancing streaming, but also I get a feature for you sometimes, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that was so
Mhm.
much fun. We were in Chelan and we had no business being in such a nice hotel rooms. Like we had 2 apartments almost. It felt
Yeah,
weird.
we had 2 apartments which we played Nintendo Switch in the entire
Mhm.
time.
You showed me Earthbound.
Yeah, oh my god. My streams just saw me be Earthbound, and so have you
I
played it
didn't
at all since?
I haven't played it at all since because I was all wrapped up trying to beat Tunic. That's what I was doing. And I was
Yeah.
screaming against the wall and yelling at the boss fights in Tunic, you know.
I was gonna say too, which I kinda mentioned in your intro, that you run the Codex History of Video Game podcast?
Yeah, me and my friend Tyler Osby run it together and
How
it's
long have
super
you been
fun.
doing that?
We've been doing that since 2015, 2016, 2017. Oh man, we've been going like 5 years with that
You
one,
are
I
a very
think.
committed podcaster.
I
I don't know.
don't, when I start something, I intend to finish it, until I
Mhm.
bury it into the ground. That's the goal. But yeah, we've
Most
been doing it for so
yeah.
long.
Most people who have podcasts, like, they barely last 2 years. It's like you get to, like, the episode 250 and then it just drops off, and I'm like, "I guess that's it for this place," but wow, that's you've been having 2 podcasts for a very long time. That's
It
impressive.
it gets busy because
Yeah.
especially because the Codex one involves a lot of like research and writing scripts and stuff, which is fun, but it's like it definitely can like get in the way of a lot. So we've kind of gone and we've done weird things too. Like we watched the movie Doom with Dwayne the Rock Johnson and did a movie review and also a commentary on it for our 100th episode. And this week, actually, this next week is our 200th episode. So we're gonna do something pretty crazy with that too. I don't know what we're gonna do
Mario.
yet. That's kind of what we're thinking. The Mario movie with Dennis Hopper, yeah, and Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo. That movie was stacked with people that are like
It was just
famous
the
now.
weirdest movie
It's so
ever.
weird. Yoshi looks like a creature from your nightmares. It's
Yeah.
just so strange.
Bowser is just like this old, like, goon. It's just the
Yeah,
underground
I'm,
goon you have here. It's oh my god. Well,
I
to everybody who's watching, please go follow Mike's podcast. I'm a bad friend. I have yet to listen to it, but that's because Mike and I talk about video games all the time.
we
So
do. You get the
I get
podcast
I
in
get
real life.
VIP private podcast episodes. But I was gonna say, I'm surprised because we talked about this like on our drive home that you have not done an episode on Earthbound, which has such a rich history. So now
Yeah, that's
you
the thing. So for me, I want to do episodes on games that I actually have a lot of time to play, and that's the hard part with doing because some of these older games you beat them in like an hour or two, not a big deal. But
yeah.
Earthbound, I feel like I got to play through the whole thing because I've definitely been burned before where I've played for like 2 or 3 hours and then I've missed something and it drives me crazy. So for Earthbound, I want to play it all the way through, and then I was thinking about having you on as a guest
I was
for
looking up your
Earthbound.
podcast. You guys got a lot of great reviews. Your podcast is bigger than I thought it was, which is
Hey,
not insulting at all.
it's not. I don't take it insulting. I'm
I
just as
just I
surprised as you are.
I looked it up. I was like, "Oh my god, you guys got a ton of reviews. That's awesome." What
Yeah.
I wanna ask though, because the Codex, now that was a book, right?
Codex, we named it because a lot of video games have a codex where you have all like the lore of the video games in.
Yeah.
And we ran through names for so long to figure it out. And we had Codex, and then we thought about changing our name to Infinite Bits was the name we were gonna go with because early like video game development, it was all about who had the most bits. Like who's got the most bits. This is
Yeah.
the most important thing, right? And so we thought Infinite Bits would be a good name. And then 2 weeks later, Infinite Bits pops up on Apple Podcasts. Someone else just took the name.
It's just a bunch of male comedians riffing on each other. Infinite bits, just constant we're just
That would
constantly
be
insulting each other.
that sounds like hell on earth. That podcast, just listening to people, just a bunch of like always on guys riffing back and forth.
I've had a really great name for a podcast for a while, and I don't know if anyone's taken it yet, but
I want to know what it is.
when we had Kawaii 50, my anime podcast, I thought it'd be really funny to have a podcast. And I think I told you this about
You
how like
did.
early localization of like anime was very, very westernized in like a bad way, like not in a good way, or they change people's names to be more American. But like my favorite one was everyone knew this in Pokemon that when when Brock would eat the onigiri, the rice balls, they called it jelly-filled donuts, and I was like, I just want to name a podcast jelly-filled donuts. That's such a good thing. And then I saw somebody had that name already taken. I didn't know if it was a podcast or not, but I was like, damn it, that'd be a really good name.
It's a
But
really good name. You told me this. You definitely
I
told me
have a
this.
whole list of good podcast names that I want to use, but I never have a podcast. And now we have Lisa's Leia.
You just have a Google Doc
We
sitting
have a
there.
Google Doc. There's actually a podcast called Lisa's Lair.
There is?
And there's like 10 episodes and they're like 10 minutes long, and it's about supernatural and ghost shit. And
Of course it is.
I went on a date with this guy earlier this year, and I told him that I had a show called Lisa's Lair. And when he showed up to dinner, he was like, I listen to your podcast. It's very weird. I was like, what? I was like, where'd you find my podcast? He's like, yeah, you like talk about ghosts and stuff. I was like, that is not my podcast.
I have something I need to tell you because I don't know if I've told you this or not. And my friend Sad Wizard is in the chat right now, and I have a website. It's ColettaComedy.com. That's not important. You can go to my website if you want to. Not a big deal. I want everyone to go to MikeColetta.com. MikeColetta.com. This guy's had that domain since I started comedy. He is an amateur UFO hunter. He does freestyle djembe drumming. He ran for mayor of Colorado Springs. This man is cooler than me in every possible way. But because he's like a paranormal hunter, I get friend requests from ghost hunters thinking that I'm him all the time.
Okay,
And I started accepting them because it's so exciting to me. I'm like, I want to have friends that are ghost hunters. This sounds great.
This guy is adorable. He has like this long beard. There's just like 30 pictures of him holding a fish.
Oh, and the best part about it is, so he is a bald man with a giant mustache. That is his look, right? His picture showed up on one of my comedy posters one time. Someone thought that was me and put it on a comedy poster, and I was just fine with it. I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Kermit Apio knows he was headlining. I was featuring. It was in Selah, Washington, I believe.
Oh my God, I'm reading this.
And it was his website is a treat. I want to talk to this guy, and I want to like meet this guy because he's kind of like the bizarro land version of me, you know, and I love it. I love this guy.
Oh my God, his bio is amazing. Air Force veteran, space enthusiast, podcaster, freestyle hand drummer, amateur radio operator, former online journalist, amateur photographer, paranormal researcher, developer, comic creator, and worship team percussionist.
Dude, imagine if he had a LinkedIn. If he had a LinkedIn, he would just crush it. You know, so many offers.
The only Lisa Wallens on the internet are all real estate agents that took my handles and never posted anything. I'm so pissed about it. I actually like tagged the Lisa Wallen Twitter like every year. I'm like, can I have my name? Can I have my name? They finally blocked me, which is funny because I haven't tweeted since 2011, which means that this bitch knows what I said, but she hasn't tweeted in like 13 years.
Yeah, I don't have Mike Coletta on Twitter either, and I hope it's this man. I hope this man has it, and I hope I never get it.
The pictures are incredible.
I know.
Oh my God, that is
just a stunning
on stage.
I've talked about it on HugLife before. Monica and I wanted to try to get him as a guest. I just want to make it so he knows I'm not making fun of him. I genuinely want to be friends with this person.
Coletta's not like a common name.
No, it's not. The other Mike Colettas, like if you Google my name, it's Corvettes, baseball, and this dude. And that's what I love.
That's all your identities right there.
And then me doing comedy is an afterthought, which is I think how it should be based on this guy. You know,
that
he's
is
amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
So when you told me that about the Lisa's Lair thing, I'm like, I don't think I've ever told you this before, but it's something I think about. And I check his website. He redid it recently. It was actually different than this. It was way more Windows 98 before this.
Oh my God, he's like Popular Communications magazine. He talks about space.
And he's got a podcast. He's got podcasts too. Does he have merch? I hope he has merch.
Your merch should be a picture of him, is what
it should be. It should be. It should just be a shirt that says "This Mike Coletta" and it's got his face on it. And I send him all the money. I'll just send him the money.
I love the collage of him pictures, and it says, "Give me a beat. Drumming is fun."
I love it.
This man is amazing. He looks so nice. He looks like he smokes a lot of weed. So.
Oh, you know it. He ran for mayor of Colorado Springs, and he's a freestyle drum player. He's He's
That
just really living his best life.
That is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's so much better to be associated with that than like people saying, "Are you?" People ask me now because like not a lot of people spell Wallen Wallen. They always ask if I'm
Mhm.
related to the country singer. I'm like, "You mean the one who got caught saying the N word?" No, I'm not related. I get it all the time. Like Morgan Wallen, I was like, "No, he's like Lisa Wallen. Don't associate with me with that guy." And it's the worst. So,
Oh,
no,
man.
that is so I've never heard that before. And I
I
hate that comedian banters, "Have you said that on stage yet?" Like,
No, I've always wanted to make a bit about him, but again, I don't wanna, like, make fun of this guy. I think he's just so cool. Like, and that's
no.
just hard. This is a fine line when you do comedy about something where you're like, because like Gabe Rutledge, our mutual friend, has the "happiness isn't funny" like as his book
Yep.
title. I think it's so true because you gotta like kind of. I usually make fun of myself, and I think I would in this situation because he is clearly way cooler than me.
It's
He's what
like,
I strive to be.
Patton Oswalt says nobody likes a happy comic. Like, you have to be
Yeah,
miserable in some form. But also, you are so friendly that I'm pretty sure this guy would just be flattered.
I hope so. Well, I'm gonna fly to Colorado Springs and
I wonder
find
if
him.
he's talked about you. He might have been like, "There's another Mike Coletta out there. He seems like a friendly kid." Like,
What if he's like there's another Mike Letta that does mediocre stand up comedy?
he has one video game bit on YouTube from 5 years ago that
It's
still holds up.
fine.
It's good. It's a good bit. I
It
think that
does
was the
still
one
hold up. I feel good
I think
about
that
that.
was the one that I watched where I was like, "I need to start writing more nerdy
Because
stuff."
if there's one thing that's never going to change, people will always be mean on online video games. I think it's safe to say that that joke will never age poorly
Which
because of
is
that.
funny when I shouldn't say this on EG because, we love League of Legends, but I could not imagine you being someone who plays League of Legends. I'm like, "Oh, Mike is so sweet."
You know, I get like I don't get angry, I just get sad. Sad Wizard knows. He's in the chat. He plays the game with me a lot.
Well,
He
now
knows what it's like.
everyone I work with plays it, and everyone I work with is amazing. So I'm like, "Okay, so just not mean 12-year-olds play this game. That's good
It
to know."
like I don't get
Wow,
mad.
he's so tame.
I get that feeling like when I played T-ball as a little kid and I realized I have no hand-eye coordination. That's how I feel when I play League of Legends. I'm like, oh, I just completely whiffed that Warwick ult and jumped past the person and into the enemy tower, and that's where I'm at right now.
You
That's
said
where
the
I'm living.
same thing that Taylor said is like, I was like, "How long will it take me to get good at the game?" She goes, "I don't understand the question." And like like got mad at me. I was like, "I don't know what you mean." She goes, "I just that's not a real question." And then you told me, "I've been playing for like 3 years and I still suck." I was like, "I get it now."
Also, Chronolus in the chat asked me, and yes, I did miss the tee on the ball multiple times. That's where I was. I was that kind of kid. I was playing for Capri Suns and orange slices, you could say.
Yeah.
That's why I was playing sports.
And those old like cereal bars. That's all I cared about it.
Oh, the cereal bars are so good. You know what I thought of recently? The plastic bottles with the weird twist top, the
Yes, the
squeeze its.
squeezies,
Yeah. I
squeeze-its.
was
I
like,
don't
do
know
they
what they're
still make
called.
squeeze its? Is that a
They
thing?
No, there's no more fun stuff anymore. There's no silly straws anymore. There's no fun. I was craving fruit snacks the other day, and they don't have cool fruit snacks anymore.
Yeah, I saw Fruit by the Foot recently though. They
No
still
fun
make Fruit by
allowed.
the Foot. If that's your jam. That's my
Yeah,
thing.
fruit by the foot. No, I mean, I just wanted like some fun shaped ones, like Scooby Doo fruit snacks. I remember when kids, they'd have like when they had McDonald's themed stuff, you know, how they had like, oh, the Pokemon toys, blah, blah. I remember I had Pokemon fruit snacks. Now it's like there's just like treetop, and then they still have Scooby Doo, but they're not as good. They
Did
changed the
you
formula. They make them healthy now. Ugh,
Did
gross.
you eat the Flintstones vitamins as a kid? Because that was my thing.
Absolutely. That
I
was how
loved
I
the
knew I was a
and you're
drug
like, "Look how
addict.
healthy I am," because I just ate 10 of them.
I
So
just
healthy.
down the I would literally sneak them out of the kitchen. Like, we were so bad. We'd be like, instead of like kids would like eat sugar, I would just eat the Flintstones. I still buy the vitamins, just not the Flintstone one. I'd
Did
buy
the
the adult
chewables,
one.
though?
I
The
have
adult chewables?
the adult chewables. They're
That's
not
what I
as
should
good
get.
though.
I got regular adult person vitamins, and my tummy hurts when I take them now, and it's a bummer. And I was like,
Part
"Is
of
this just
being
what
in your
adulthood is? It's just
This is
having a
part of
tummy ache from eating vitamins? Is that what
being in your
we're doing
30s
right
is
now?"
just constantly having a tummy ache. That's it.
Constantly being like, "I can't have any more food because I got a tummy ache from my
But you know
vitamins."
what? That's one of my favorite things about hanging out with you is that like a lot of people, I don't know if this is a pandemic thing or like a turning 30 things, but people got really, really stingy about what they eat now, and I hate it. Like, I love hanging out with you and Sam. We all love Sam.
We do love
Everyone who
Sam.
watches my stream, they love
And
Mochi.
Mochi.
They know who Mochi is. You and Sam are like my go-to, like, can we eat like garbage friends? Because other people are like, oh, I can't eat like that anymore. I'm like, you can, you just choose not to. Okay.
Yeah, my
Life
body is not a wonderland, and I treat it that way.
your
I eat
body is not a
whatever I
wonderland.
want. That's all what I'm into. I'm like, you know what? If I need chicken wings, I'm gonna eat chicken wings. That's how I feel right now.
That's 90% of doing comedy is like, what kind of I hate it when they give you drink tickets. I'm like, "Can you just give me a discount on food? I just want food."
Yeah,
Like,
I did.
I don't need to
Oh
drink a
my
beer.
gosh. That happens at comedy shows all the time where they're like, you want to, because I don't really drink before I go up, and I rarely drink after because I have to drive like 3 hours home. And they're like, we got you 2 free drink tickets. I'm like, can this get me fries? Because that's what I really want after my
Like,
set.
can I trade in the price of 2 beers for some poutine, maybe?
Good set or not, I'm going to eat wings. That's how comedy works to me.
Blue cheese or ranch with wins.
So I'm controversial because I gotta say I've been a ranch man my whole life. Been all about that ranch. But recently I actually got moved to blue cheese. I had such good blue cheese that it's kind of changed my mind on the whole thing. But I do think blue cheese goes best with buffalo sauce. Because there's other
Uh,
sauces on the wing, like your barbecue, I kind of want a ranch with barbecue. I think it's kind of
yeah,
depends
yeah.
on the situation of the sauce. Some wings, no sauce, like Buffalo Wild Wings Parmesan garlic, Olive Garden condensed down to a wing. I'm going to eat that with no sauce because it's all I
We've been
need.
to Olive Garden recently, but their menu sucks. I only went because my mom likes to go there. I'm like, this is such a mom dinner. I don't want to eat here. But I mean, they've never been the best, but now they just suck. Sorry, Olive Garden, if you're sponsoring the stream sometime soon. This is how I feel about you, and you need to bring your menu back.
Their
Uh,
breadsticks, though, still slap.
yeah, those breadsticks will always slap. Taylor and I went out to Melrose Grill, which is a little steakhouse in Renton. And
Oh,
they give you a giant beef steak tomato or two of them. They put uh sauteed caramelized onions with balsamic vinegar and a brick of blue cheese on it, and it is so goddamn good. I love
dude.
that we're just talking about food.
That sounds so amazing. I'm not a big blue cheese guy, period, but I would eat that. I'm
I
turning
yeah.
towards tomatoes in my life. I'm eating more tomatoes now as a human
I
being. That's what I do.
I eat so many I don't know what it was, like, most of my 20s, I was like, "I gotta go to the gym, like, 5 days a week, I gotta count all my calories," and the day I turned 30, I was like, "It does not fucking matter, because if I get cancer one day or something, or I get a horrible disease, it's not gonna be because I ate blue cheese and pastries."
No,
Yeah, so now I'm like, "You know what, whatever,
it's
I'm
going to
just
be
gonna
those
eat."
Squeeze-Its from when you were a kid.
It's
That's what
gonna
it's
be
going
those
to be.
radioactive fruit snacks we had all through the '90s. That's what it's gonna be. I love that we got sidetracked because I still wanna talk about your podcast. This is why I love interviewing my friends. I had Annika on here, and I was like, "It's just gonna be like we're gonna be really professional." It was literally like her and I had a Discord call, and then people would just butt in.
She's
Oh,
the
oh yeah,
best. I
people
love
are wel
Annika.
we love Annika. We both wore our funky shirts. You
You
haven't
two
gone
both have great funky shirt game.
We're
You really
literally
do.
the same person. She
I
just lives
should
in
have worn.
Canada now.
I have my dinosaur shirt. I should have worn it. So I
Do
had
you
my shirt
have
with
do
dinosaurs
you
on.
have funky button-up shirts like this?
I have two now that have dinosaurs. One's color, one's black and white, and that's what I wear around
This become
when
my
I want to get
fashion, just like
funky.
Miami Coke dealer is like my new look now,
You do
so
look like a villain from Miami Vice, so I
I
think you're
am
really crushing it in that
I just
sense.
need some, like, aviators and then maybe a little bit of chest hair, and then I think I'll be good to
And a
go.
cigarette boat. You're just
And a
driving around
cigarette
with your
boat,
shirt like open, like flapping. The flaps of the polo are
a little
flying as you go.
martini, you know? I was gonna ask about your podcast though, because it has been around for a while. I was gonna ask, what
Hmm.
are do you have, like, a, favorite episode or favorite series that you've covered?
So we covered Masters of Doom. We kind of treat it like a book club in a lot of ways,
That is
and
adorable, but it's
and
video
but
games?
it's video game books. Yeah, that's what we've. That's because
What an
we.
interesting book club.
So I guess I could. This is the long answer. We got time. Is the first part of the podcast was the Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen L. Kent, which is a great book to like get in a lot of the history of video games. And then for a while we did episodes where we were just doing our games that we wanted to talk about, and that was honestly the most research I think Tyler and I did the whole time. It was a lot of us, like 7 to 8 hours of research a week, and then trying to make an episode out of it and play the game was a lot. So then we started doing this book club format, and Masters of Doom by David Kushner is a great book because it gives you the story of id Software, but it's a narrative. Like we kind of figured out, like that's our thing is we like these video game books that tell a story. Like tell me a story about how this happened, but it's true. And that's probably my favorite thing we've covered. But the Ultimate History of Video Games Volume 2, which we just finished, that has a chapter on it at the end about movies and video games and the history of movies as video games and video games as movies. So you're getting like your Lion King, amazing Disney platformers from the 90s on Super Nintendo, like Lion King, Aladdin, those games. But you're also
you mean the hardest games ever made?
yeah, they're so hard. But you're also getting like the awful like Doom movie, and you're getting the Mortal Kombat movies and the Street Fighter movie,
It is
which are
actually
all gems, like terrible gems that I will still watch.
Oh yeah, like
because
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
Have
Kombat's probably the best of them all, though, realistically.
I rewatched it last year with my dad just on a whim, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I liked this at one point." Like
Did
it's
you
just
see?
so campy and silly, but I feel like that's what Mortal Kombat is, you
Yeah,
know?
the Street Fighter's worse because
To
Street
me,
Fighter tried to have a story and it just didn't. They just
which
gave up on it like 20
ugh,
minutes in.
I could talk about this forever because it's to me like like I watch a shit ton of anime. I used to be really into like movies, and I love like big TV shows, and to me I still think video games is like the best medium for storytelling because
Yeah.
you have more control of how you want, because games have multiple endings, and like it's just easier to immerse yourself into characters when you are the one controlling them. Like, for example, one of the main reasons why I love Zelda so much, and I don't know if you probably knew this because you seem like a video game history buff, but do you know
Mm-hmm.
why they named Link?
Now I feel ashamed because I feel like I learned this and I forgot.
It's
And I
because
want you to tell me.
Link is supposed to be the link between the character and the video game. So like
Oh my goodness.
they created Zelda to be like, we want you to fully immerse yourself as this character, so we're not gonna give him an identity. His name's just gonna be Link. And that's what really got me into it, is because like when I first played it, I was like 10, I was like 6 years old on my old analog TV, my little CRT TV in our little basement. I remember my
Oh,
dad watching my dad play it. But then I started playing A Link to the Past, and I was like, oh my God, I love this character and I want to play this game forever. And like ever since then, I've been obsessed with the lore of Zelda, which is funny because I
guys, it's a
barely
disaster.
it
Trying
is
to follow the canon's a disaster.
oh yeah, which is funny because it's basically copy and paste every single game. It's just like, oh no, like resurrect the hero and blah blah blah. And I barely play Zelda games on stream. I've only played like 2 or 3. But I'm always like, man, like it would be so great if they like could make a series out of this, or like any video games. It's like, why do they never make good movies or TV shows or anything out of video games? It's like these are such good stories to tell, and that they fuck up almost every single time they do it.
Did you see? Because there's only one movie that I feel like pulled it off, and it's because they like kind of took the universe, but like Detective Pikachu, I thought was pretty good. Did you like that movie?
Watch about half of it, and then I did not really
Oh,
like
you didn't
it.
like it?
But I mean, I do like the Pokemon movies.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I
those movies, like the anime, the old movies from like our childhood.
Sonic
Like,
movie was really good.
see, and that's funny because I haven't seen
Yeah.
that yet, and I feel like I'm really a bad fan of
Okay.
video games for not seeing the Sonic
So,
movie.
like, Detective Pikachu, what I didn't like is I didn't like the I don't like the realism of parts of it, you know? Like, I like how they should, to me, like, I'm so a 90s kid. I was like, they should have done like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing where you just copy and paste 2D characters into here. But I get that they're trying. Also, I wanted more like a Danny DeVito type for Pikachu. I guess I couldn't get into the Ryan Reynolds part of it, you know?
Yeah.
It seemed very Hollywood versus Pokemon, I should say.
Do you get? Because I get emotional during way too many movies though. Like I am
Yeah,
a big
I'm a
softie when it
mess.
comes like when
I
he's in the field with all the Bulbasaurs. I was like, this is adorable, and I
Yeah, that
started
was
tearing
really
up. But I'm really like weak-willed when it comes to that. Like for example, in the Halo TV show, the first episode of the new Halo TV show,
my dad
there.
loved it.
I know you told me your dad loves it, which I find, and he doesn't want to play the game at all. Just wants to watch the
I
TV show,
I I
which
think I might have
is
mentioned this on stream, but, like, my dad came up, he goes, "Have you ever heard of a book series called Halo?" I was like, "What?"
a
Yeah,
book series
I've been
called
watching
Halo.
I read the books, but now I'm watching the show. I'm like, "Dad, that's a video game." He goes, "Oh, Oh, that makes sense now.
Well, for me, the problem, and this is not going to look good on me, but hey, whatever. I was watching the first episode, and at a point, Master Chief does a heroic hero jump and comes down to save these rebels from the Covenant, right? And then he's fighting, and then he looks at the big elite bad guy, and the bad guy calls him Demon, and then I just started crying. I have no idea why I started crying. I just started crying from
Because
this.
like that's the thing is that I
It's
feel
my
like
childhood at
I feel
TV.
well, that's the thing is I feel like the video game industry is still widely ignored, which is crazy because video games make more money than movies and music put together. And now we have esports has been around forever, but now it's like starting to blow up,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. EG for the win.
Yeah.
But I remember when it was, I think it was Stephen Colbert started interviewing was it PewDiePie? He wanted to interview a streamer or somebody, and there was all this controversy about who is he interviewing this no-name person. I was like, "No name? This person has a huge following."
Yeah, like
And
millions of people follow this person.
and it like started this whole debate about how yes, like the creators and the entertainment industry and the video game side is completely ignored, which is so crazy because now all the people who grew up with video games are now in entertainment. Like we're all in our like 30s and 40s now, and yet I
Yeah.
still feel like it's underappreciated.
I do too. It's funny though now because you can see that I'm trying to like collect N64 games. That's my thing. There's the cartridges like right there in the background. Those are cartridges, right? I'm trying to collect them, and I want to buy these games that I never owned or games that I lost, like I lent them to friends and I can't find them, and they're expensive because
Yeah.
everyone wants to collect their childhood like me. It's not just me.
There was actually a whole article I read about millennials holding on to nostalgia because we have seen so much technological development and we are at the end of physical era. Like
Hmm.
we are at the end of it. Like our parents obviously lived through like records of CDs and TV and radio and all this stuff, but like that was all physical. Everything is now digital. And so like us, like me and you are like still clinging on to like, no, I want to physically own this thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I did say N64 games. Someone's asking in the chat. They're like
Laredo Potato. Shout
right
out to
over there.
Laredo Potato. I have a
Yeah.
whole bag actually. I wonder if I can
I have more over there too.
I
I
have a
just
whole
don't have them up.
bag. One of my high school friends just decided to like move out of state and like just ride around the van and he gave me about 30 N64 games in a bag.
Well,
Just
if you want someone to buy those from you, I will. Is what I'm telling
I
you.
mean there's like mainly sport. It's a very like I was like you were such a
I'll
bro.
take
Like it's
them.
all like football and like car racing and like it's like stuff I never played growing up. But
I
like
think you showed these to me because you have Need for Speed San
yeah.
Francisco Rush, and I really like. I want that. I would take that game because I didn't. I played 2049, which is like weird because it had tried to do like car tricks or something like that. Like you'd flip the car and it would give you like points for it, but it was so fun. Just many
Gauntlet
hours spent up
Legends.
way too late at night playing that with my friends.
Gauntlet Legends is like the best game to play with people.
I'm trying right now to get a copy of Superman 64 because it's the worst N64 video game. And I want to own the worst one. And I want to
Me?
play it and I want to be like, this is the worst. And be like, that was worth
Wait,
the
why is it the
$19.
worst?
There's no instructions on how to do it. There's no checkpoints. It's this really frustrating flying mechanic where you have to fly through rings and it's awful. It's just the worst game design. And there's like, you got to pick up these two cars before they hit citizens. Oh, you didn't do it in 3 seconds. So you got to start all the way at the beginning now
Oh
and
my
go back.
god. It's actually really it's interesting to see like so N64 and like PlayStation like 1 games were like so big to us because that was the first time they dipped into 3Ds, but so many of them have aged terribly and not just because of like shit like that, just because it's like that was not made for digital. Like trying to
No,
play an
yeah.
N64 game on a 4K TV is god awful. It is just like, ugh, it
Well, you
hurts.
Yeah, you mentioned CRTs earlier. Like, I think I have to go find a CRT TV and like go buy one because I'm like they have these like retro tink things that you can like change. Because someone mentioned it there, Mario Party. Do you remember playing Mario Party on N64?
It was the first one is still my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
I've owned the
Yeah.
first I own, like, Mario 1 through Mario Party 1 through 4, and then I bought the one for Switch, and I was like, "I don't like this anymore." I wanna play the Mario Party online thing. I don't know if they're still doing that because
Is
Nintendo's
that like
really
on
re
free online thing you could do?
Yeah, it's a Nintendo's really weird. They've been doing, like, these awesome online games, like, when they had, like, the Super Mario one, where it's like you gotta go through the Super Mario was it 35? Was that what it's called? It was
Yeah, and
on
then
the
they did
Switch.
Tetris. Well, not Tetris. They did the Pac-Man 99
Yeah, and
and
then they got rid
Mario.
of it.
Yeah,
They
I
were just
remember
like, "We're
that.
just gonna
Oh,
kill the servers."
Super Mario one was really fun, and then I'm horrible at Pac-Man, so I tried the Pac-Man one. It didn't work. I'm really bad at Tetris 99. Have you played that one though? That one's
Yeah,
still
I won
around.
once.
You won one time.
At
See,
the
that's great.
very when it first came out, I won once, and I think it was an accident. I think I
Brattleborn just mentioned Mario Golf, and that's one that I have over there. Actually, it's so good.
Mario
Mario
sports games
Golf,
are
solid.
amazing.
They're so good, and I played it recently, and I'm like, I was so good at this game, and I just was terrible. It's
You ever
like
play Super Strikers?
I never played Super Strikers, the soccer one. I never played that one. I also never played tennis. The Ace, is it Super Mario? Is it
Tennis?
Mario Tennis or Mario Ace something? I don't know, but yeah, I never played those ones. Did you? Because they announced the new Switch sports game. No, it's out. I haven't played it yet. Have you played it?
I have not, but I don't think it's gonna be like Wii Sports. Wii Sports was my life. I
It
loved
was a
Wii Sports.
niche thing. It was
W
perfect in
Wii
college in my
Sports
dorm.
and Wii Sports Resort.
Oh yeah, so good.
I loved also playing the one with the tanks. I forgot which one that was. Tanks was the funnest thing. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I had a group of friends that we would play Wii Sports literally every single week for like a year together. Just the three of us. We'd play golf, bowling. It was amazing. But it's like I don't think we'll ever get that back. Wii was so special. I remember so many people made fun of it because it's so behind. Well, Nintendo's always been a little behind technology wise, but I'm like, but the music was so good, like the bossa nova groove, and then you got
Oh
like
yeah.
and then you got to play Wii Sports, you had your stupid little me. Oh my god, I miss those days, and it's like, I don't feel like I'll ever have that again, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I still have my Wii U, though. I
I
was one of
had
the yeah.
I never had the Wii, but I played my friends in his dorm room so much, and we would just play Wii bowling. Like we'd have Wii bowling tournaments because we were like freshmen in college and we didn't know what else to do on a Friday night. So we
I
play Wii bowling
we
tournaments.
please
It was so
can we
fun.
please do we should stream together and play
We
Wii
will. I
Sports.
think we should play Wii Sports. That'd be super fun. Also,
Oh.
Laredo Potato in the chat mentioned Pod Racer and Lego Racer, which are two great games. I have Pod Racer, but Laredo Potato just reminded me that Lego Racer is one of the ones I'm missing that I need to find. Like I need to buy again because I lent that to somebody and it's gone now.
Oh my
And
god, speaking of Legos.
oh,
Oh, I don't know
it's
if you guys
behind
know this
me.
about Mike, but Mike is
I
a
always see the wrong
big
hand.
yeah, Mike is a big Lego fanatic. We went to the Lego store and it was like watching a kid in a candy shop. It was
Oh,
amazing. You see
I,
the
it was a thing that I was like obsessed with as a kid. You know, you get like a big Lego set for Christmas. I was lucky enough to have that as like a childhood thing, right? And then COVID happened and I didn't know what to do with myself at night while watching all these TV shows. And I found online there are PDF instructions of every single Lego set ever made, right? And I have these three giant boxes, so I started rebuilding the Legos from my childhood in those kits. So that pirate ship above me
Did you cry?
is I did. That pirate ship above me is a from my childhood. There's a Naboo starfighter over there, and then there's the Nintendo, which is new. But then over on this side, you can't see it because I have all my stuff. There's like the UFO set and like all of the Egyptian stuff I had as a kid. And there's still more. There's like more stuff I need to figure out and build, which is great.
You were smart like me. You kept all your stuff. I kept all my Pokemon cards. I kept all my games. Like
I didn't keep my Pokemon cards. And like I've told about Laredo Potato here, his they never sold Lego Racer because it was their favorite game. I don't think I sold these N64 games. I let friends in Alaska borrow them and then I moved away from Alaska, which is super sad.
no, I have someone who luckily still has it. I messaged him, but he still has my copy of Majora's Mask for N64, and I was like, I need that back.
Are you gonna
I
get
did
it?
I did lend someone out the GameCube one that has all the games on it, that has like the first 4 Zelda games, or it has like Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina, Majora's Mask, and a demo for Wind Waker. I lent that to someone. I don't know where it is.
Wind Waker's the Zelda game I've never played.
Wind Waker's
That
fantastic.
that I'm like wondering if they're gonna do a Switch remake of.
Yeah, we
I
did
feel
it
like it's gonna happen.
Mike was one of the reasons why I wanted to do a Lego building stream. And now we've talked about doing the N64 block. together.
I think that'd be fun to do together because you have a cool setup for the Lego building at your place. It's
Yeah,
really
it's just
sweet.
my dining room table.
Brought in the room, and you need a good space, you know. And it's fun to build Legos with friends. That's what my fiance and I do all the time. Is we build Legos together. It's like a fun
I
thing to
wanna
do.
do a Lego build. I wanna do Gunpla, like the giant Gundam robots, because
I
those look so fun.
I want to do that with you because I have no idea how it works, and I think it would be fun to try to figure it out with you. Like, because
When
I
I
don't know anything about Gunpla at all.
When I first started streaming and I was just trying to get into Twitch, I, like, watched somebody build Gunpla on stream, and it was like, "Oh my god, this is like Bob Ross for nerds." Like, this is I'm just watching this guy build, and he's just, like, so soft-spoken, and I was like, "Wow, this is really interesting." Because I was trying to think of other things that were in game. Probably gonna do a cooking stream. It's gonna be part of my subathon next month if
I
anyone wants
want.
it.
What would you cook on your cooking stream?
You know what? I was thinking about making hot pot or, like, ramen, but since it's gonna be summer, probably
I
do
don't
some
know.
summer shit.
I feel like Lisa Wallen Hot Pot is kind of like a signature dish of yours that you could show people how you do it, and that would be really cool. Because
Lisa
I
Wallen
would
hot
watch
pot.
that, and I would record it, and I would use it as like a cooking show and cook along with you at home.
Cook along with me.
Like you're the Julia Child of the Hot
I've
Pot
been watching I've been
TV
watching
cooking show.
I was watching people's cooking streams to see how they set it up, and it turned to me watching people's cooking fails just to see in case I catch my kitchen on fire. And I'm like, now that I've watched enough failed cooking streams, I'm like, I'm pretty confident I can get this.
That's so
Like,
funny.
and I'm like, well, we'll see. But yeah, like that's the thing about streaming that I think is more dangerous than comedy. Because at least with stand up, like you can go to as many mics as you want and get booked as many gigs as you can. But like you won't ever really you'll burn yourself out, but you have the option to just I'm just not gonna do a show this week or next week. But with streaming, you're like, there's so many things I want to do, so many games I want to play. And like it's very easy to get sucked into wanting to do everything. Like I burnt myself out because I got really obsessed with the Yakuza games, and I, like, streamed 8 of them in a row. And I was like I just got really obsessed with it, and now I'm like, "Oh, man," and I ended up burning myself out, and now I'm like, "Well, now I wanna play all the Souls games." I'm like, "Well, now I need to go to therapy because I just played games that made me miserable for, like, 7 months." But, like,
Games that
now
make you so angry.
right, and now I'm like, "Well, I wanna do cooking streams, I wanna do Lego builds, I wanna do Gunpla," and then it's like, "Oh, wait, I have, like, a whole 'nother job I have to do still." Like, I can't just keep streaming all the time. It's very easy to get sucked into it, but that's a good thing about, like, doing stand-up too, is that now, with this show, it's like I have comedians on here, and since you live here, I'd be like, "Hey, remember Mike? Mike's gonna join me today," and then it feels like I'm hanging out with someone and not as much being isolated in my house and streaming, you know?
Yeah. Well, we are hanging out. It doesn't even feel like it. It's gonna happen.
And
We're
now
gonna
you
make
wanna try
Lego stuff.
League, exactly.
Nah,
I wanna
yeah.
try You know what? I've talked about this with Taylor. I was like, "If I'm gonna try League, we have to do it with all people that I know." So it's just, like, kind of like a boot camp for me.
Do
You
you
should
know what position? Do you know the league positions? Like what you would
I do,
play?
but I don't know what I would play because I just like I like to collect garbage. That's my favorite thing, as I like collecting stuff.
I'm like, so I learned playing top lane, which was fun because it didn't have a lot too much to think
Yeah, I was
about. Like I'm
bard support. That's what they
but
said.
I was stuck in like on my I called it being on my island because I'm alone. You know, if I screw up, everyone's gonna see me just ruining this game for everybody and feeding the
Like
person.
stand up. If your joke is bad, you'll know. So
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. The only good thing about stand up is because that's the only thing now I feel like, unless someone's recording you, like if you do really poorly, no one's gonna remember or know in like a day. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about that still. But I was I don't know, is mid lane a good? I want to know what the chat thinks. Is mid lane a good place to start? Like what's a good or maybe a support ADC thing so that way you could like be with someone in your lane and then you could like get to know it that way. I have no idea what a good place to start at is in League of Legends. ADC. It just casual says ADC. Chronolus says Yumi. You'd like Yumi. It's Kitty Cat. It's a
I
magical
love
healing
kitty
kitty
cat.
cat.
I'm gonna be a dick for a second. I ran out of water. I'm gonna go
Okay.
grab my water bottle. Is
You're
that
gonna grab your
okay?
water bottle.
I'm the host
Um,
saying I'm gonna go
I
grab my
am
water
just
bottle. Okay,
now
you
in
guys
this
can talk
show.
about League for like 2 seconds.
Here
2
we go.
seconds.
We're gonna
That's
talk
all you
about
want.
League. It's all me. Oh, the pressure's on. Okay, so we got support lets you ADC manage you a bit. That's actually true. Bot lane probably as long as you're with someone who you can communicate with. That's the important part is going to be being with someone that's cool with you learning. You know, You got to find someone to work with, and I think that's the best part. Support runs the lane. Oh, I like this. This kind of some. Oh, a shout out ADC Beans. I think. I actually don't like. I love the idea of Lisa playing a Yumi support. I'm kind of a big fan of this.
Okay, I'm
What if?
back.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly, I think a Yumi support for you would be super fun because you're just this cat that heals people and you help out your teammate and you get to like socialize with them and talk to them and it'd be
A
really
healer?
fun. Yeah. Chad agrees. Just Casual and Chronolist are both like Yumi support. I think that's what we got to do.
Watch
Yeah.
me, like, because you know me. I'm not a very competitive person. Like, I'm very like, no, I don't want to. But I bet you anything, the league is gonna just release the toxic from
That's
me.
what I kind of want is I want you to become like a super competitive league player because I think you're already naturally good at video games, you know? Like I spent 3 hours on that librarian boss in Tunic and I watched you beat it in like 20 minutes and I was like, this is the way it is for me, I guess. But I think you could be good I think you'd be really good at League.
It's a different kind of game though, because
Oh
like
yeah, we got Poppy,
everyone's
Trundle, a bunch of other
yeah, like I
champs to
can't when
play.
it comes to being competitive. There's a I don't know, maybe therapy will help, but there's a block in my brain that's like I can't play because there's people playing with me, and I need to make sure I do good and forget about me. But like my chat has seen me become really toxic, especially with Dark Souls.
When
I
you're
just
just yelling at computer
yeah,
people.
I
Or
just
do
get
you get
my
invaded in Dark Souls a lot?
I
Do you have
have
that?
I have before, and I just let them kill me because I'm like, you don't do it, just do it. I don't even care anymore. Like I am just not real. I'm not there. I just get so scared, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll probably release something in me. There's gonna be a beast in me that comes out and be like, no, this is my game. You guys must.
See, and like I know you wouldn't play it, but League and Valorant are the two competitive multiplayer games that I'm like super into right now because I played a lot of Counter-Strike in college and I was okay at it and I'm like learning it again and it's super fun. But with Valorant it's neat because you have cool powers and characters, which makes it fun.
Well, when we play it with EG people, I'll make sure to invite you because your voice will be very soothing.
Oh yeah. I'll be like
Yeah, you'll be the
I also started jungling, so I could like it's fun to jungle and like run around and help everybody out. I like it. It's fun.
I
That's
would probably get so lost. Like I'm such a when it comes to video games, it's like I can only focus on like one thing at a time. So that's what's hard for me to do any kind of team play is like
I
I have
think
to
you're supporting as Yumi the cat in the bot lane is a great way to like break the ice with you to get you to like play League and not feel that way, and then you start doing other supports too. Because I think you'd enjoy it, Lisa. I think you'd like it, especially if you play with friends. That's how I learned. I only play with the 5 stack. I never play solo.
I guess
Like
trolling.
Mike is trolling.
I think you would really like it.
I think I really like it. Don't make her play Yumi. I won't make her play anything. If you want to play, I mean, I just think Yumi's a fun kitty cat character.
Well, so you I mean, I don't this is I thought it was really wholesome, but you did your show in Vegas and you had like your friends surprise you. Are those your League
Yeah,
of Legends friends?
they are, and they're in this chat right now,
Oh,
which is
okay, so
so
Mike,
sweet.
you want to tell people that cute
So,
story?
so yeah,
That
I
I just
was
ruined?
doing. It was my birthday weekend, and I'm doing shows in Vegas, and it's kind of a weird weekend because it's the headliner's birthday too, and they're going out with all their friends, and they're a good friend of mine. It's fine, they're gonna go have their like club night and have a good time, and that's not my thing. So it's Saturday night, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go back to the hotel room and try to play League of Legends like I always do. And the whole weekend, I play video games with my friends at night, and they weren't there. They were just like, I'm like, oh, they must be busy or something. This is really weird. And it turns out they had driven over from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to surprise me. And they showed up at the show and they gave me a Lego bouquet of flowers. And I cried a little bit. Yeah, it was nice. It was a good time.
Oh my god.
I was so
That's
surprised.
my gamer friends would not do that for me.
It was so
I
sweet.
know they would.
It was so
My
kind.
It's always nice when like Twitch people come out to my shows. That's basically the closest I get to gaming friends 'cause I don't have really like gamer friends. I have friends that have befriended me because I play video games and I just play video games with them. But that's
Yeah.
about it. But, like, my mod like, wonderful mod Cert comes out to a lot of comedy shows. I've had a couple people who follow my streams come out to comedy shows, and they always introduce me as their Twitch names, which I think is so funny because it's like, you're right, like, I will never call you by your real name, but
Well, this is great because so Brattleborn is one of my friends, and then Sad Wizard, who's
Aw.
also here. But I had never met them in person. because they were friends of a friend. So I had never seen these people in person. I'd seen their pictures, obviously. So I'm like doing my merch sales after the first show because as
Cry
comedians, you got to
for
sell
you.
merch, right? And I turn and I just see this face like really close looking at me, and it's Sad Wizard. And I was just like, "What are you?" I was so surprised. I was completely blown away. And then my co-host from the Codex podcast was there too, and he's surprised. And I was like, and that's how I got Taco Bell Cantina and stayed up till like way too late at night because a boozy Baja Blast does have caffeine. I found out. Did you know that? It's like it's the new Four Loco is Baja Blast Mountain Dew.
The new Four Loco. That's such a millennial. I love Monica's joke about the original recipe Four Locos.
That was a thing. Did you remember that though? That was a real
Oh
thing.
my
I was
god.
in
I
Pullman, Washington, and it
I
was
was
flats
I was
of
a
Four Loko.
terrible everything until I was about 30, 26 years old. I used to drink them before school when I was in college. Like I used to drink them in the morning to wake me up and I would just be fucked up. Sleep in my
Just
car.
go to college.
Oh my god, I was not a good kid, guys. I'm much better now,
The
but, like, I
idea.
would drink those all the time. And Sparks, do you remember Sparks?
Oh, I remember Sparks.
Oh god, like, just the era of, like, energy drinks with booze in them was so there was a lot of lives lost, as Monica said, like, that was a very dangerous years of our lives. I'm surprised most of us are still alive, honestly.
It was just because your body wanted to go to sleep so bad, but your brain was like, "Nope, you did 2 Four Locos. Sorry, you're gonna stay up." It was
God, it
so
was
bad.
now it's like I can barely have, like, a White Claw. Now I'm like, "That was
Oh,
too much."
yeah. I have a beer, and I feel like I have to lay down for, like, 4 hours
That's
just to
what
be safe.
being in your 30s is just being hungover off one drink, and it's like, I didn't even get drunk. I just had that one drink.
By the way, Tay said that Baja Blast with grain alcohol, and it's really funny because when you go to the Taco Bell Cantina, you pick what alcohol you want to go into it. You
What
have a
did you
choice.
pick?
I picked tequila because I felt like it made sense in the moment, you
Baja
know?
Blast
Yeah,
tequila,
it's
yes.
the Baja Blast, the blast of Baja, if you
And it was like
will.
a
I'm gonna
$27 shot of
Oh,
tequila.
yeah, it was way too much money, but you could choose how many shots too. It was 3, 4, or 5, and I picked 4 because it seemed like the middle ground. But yeah, it's pretty
I
intense.
am very curious about what they have at the Taco Bell cantina versus a regular Taco Bell.
They still have all your normal Taco Bell fare, your nacho fries, your quesadillas, your burritos, your quesaritos, one of my personal favorites. You got that, right? But then there's a DJ always playing all the time, 24/7. And then you got an
DJ Taco Bell?
upstairs bar that you can go to. And then you order from like screens, but to get the alcohol, you have to actually you have communication with a person, which makes it rough, but it's better. So
Okay, what hotel is it in?
it's in. Oh my gosh, Tay said one of her friends got married there. I asked my fiance to marry me there as a joke, and she said, "I would rather dump you." And I said, "This is the exact quote." I said, "It only costs." I texted her, "It only costs $500 to get married at the Taco Bell Cantina in Las Vegas," and then she said, "It only cost me $0 to dump you." Was her exact response.
Oh, no. Though I would love to go to your guys' wedding at a Taco Bell cantina.
Me
That would
too.
be
Me too. I wish it wasn't just a Vegas
a
thing.
Fago.
It's a
Speaking
Lego
of
Vegas.
I was gonna say, speaking of fiance, you are newly engaged,
I am newly
and
engaged.
I love your fiance, and she loves my cats a little
She
more than
really
me, which is
she loves
okay.
cats, she's great.
Um, but you have a really great engagement story that I think you should share because it's
Yeah. So, we got, engaged at she has a cabin that we go to, like, her family's cabin, and it's on this river, and so I'm like, "Okay, I planned it all out, right? She's gonna go down to the river with her friend Adriana, and they're gonna, like, go get water because there's no running water, it's a cabin, right? And I'm gonna be behind her with the ring, and it's gonna be perfect." That was the plan, okay? So, we do that, everything goes super smooth. Our friends are awesome, and they actually decorate the whole cabin without me even knowing. They hung up like all this bunting and streamers and stuff, which was really cute
aw.
and amazing. Yeah, it was a great time. We drink champagne, it's wonderful. We go to bed. That night, a friend of ours like wakes up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and says, "There's something in my hand. There's something in my hand." And I hear Katie rustling, and she's like, "What's in your hand?" And then there's a live bat like flying rodent bat in our friend's hand, and it starts flying around the cabin, and we catch it in like a bowl and a plate, and we throw it outside, and it's kind of adorable because it's like this little tiny rodent thing. But what's terrifying about bats is, so we all think bats are like squeak, 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 like they make little squeaking noises like mice. It's like clicking. It's terrifying. Clicking in the middle of the night is the noise it makes. And so we were all freaked out. And then we wake up the next day and we realize that almost all the bats in Washington state have rabies. That's like a thing that happens with bats in Washington state. And if a bat, this is the really terrifying part, I might give people nightmares. If a bat bites you, you might not feel it and you might not wake up because their teeth are so tiny and sharp that they go through you and you don't feel a bat bite at all. So sleep tight, everybody. So what we had to do is we had to go to the hospital immediately after going back from this cabin trip, our engagement trip. And the first time I ever referred to my fiance as my fiance was to an ER nurse telling her this bat story.
My fiance.
My fiance and I might have been bit by a bat.
Shot.
Yeah, just couples rabies shots for everybody. The rabies shot also sucks. It's like 5 shots or four shots. 3 of them are the actual rabies shot, and then there's this shot that's like immunoglobulin, which is what makes it so if you have rabies, you don't have it anymore. That's like a 30-second shot. It's a giant shot. They like shoot into your arm or your leg.
Shots together.
We got engagement shots. You know, some couples get tattoos. We get engagement shots. But the old rabies shot used to be way worse. It was like in your stomach, and it was terrible, the one before this. So the new one's better. But yeah, that's what happened, is we got our engagement shots.
Usually we got like a shot of tequila to celebrate engagement. Yeah. You guys had a shot of...
We got rabies shots.
Rabies shots.
Mm-hmm. And the best part is we had to go to like different doctors to get, because it's those 2 shots the night of, and then you get 2 more boosters. And so we kept meeting different people, and we'd have to tell them the same story. And it's just a very romantic bat story. I think we're going to put a bat on top of the wedding cake or like hide it somewhere. Like a little leg. Because
congrats.
We were going to do Lego minifigures. So we were thinking I have a little Lego bat that I could put on the cake somewhere and hide it.
You should. Oh my god, I'm very excited for you guys' wedding. You guys are having
so fun.
A summer camp themed wedding, which is amazing. Be summer camp.
It's gonna be dope. Engaged plus bats. Totally.
And it's even funnier because you guys got engaged in the cabin, and now all your wedding guests might just have a bat as part of.
We've thought about.
That's me my +1.
Instead of releasing doves, we should just release live bats into the night sky. They're married. Bats everywhere.
I was confronted by a bat at a lake near my house when I was 18, but I probably should have gotten a rabies shot because I didn't know that until now. But one like flew right in my face and like buzzed off, and I thought it was a bird. My friend was like, "No, that was 100% a bat," and I was like, "Oh my god!" But I didn't care because I was 18.
They say the reason we had to get the rabies shots was because we were unconscious, like sleeping with the bat in the cabin. If you like see a bat and it buzzes you, it's fine. Usually it's just because we were dead asleep and the bat could have, we think it came down the chimney, like because the damper was open because we had a fire.
You Batman as your officiator.
I want to. I kind of wish it was a radioactive bat and I got bit by it, and then I could just live my best life. You know,
maybe radioactive Batman.
Radioactive Batman. Into it. Man Bat? That's Man Bat. Did you know that? The Batman villain Man Bat is just a reverse, and it's an actual man that's a bat. It's pretty lazy, but I loved it. It's got a really cool arc in Arkham City, the Man Bat.
It's hilarious. I actually never played I heard the Batman like game is actually really fun. I've never played like a superhero game.
Have you never played like Arkham Asylum or Arkham City?
No, and I really want to play the Spider-Man one on PS4 too.
I think you would really enjoy the new Spider-Man game. I think you'd really enjoy, but also Batman Arkham City, I think, is the like when it gets really good. Arkham Asylum's good. It's pretty linear, but I think I also liked Arkham Knight, which a lot of people didn't really like, but I enjoyed it.
My favorite thing in Sekiro was using the hook to like fly around. Everyone's like, that's like Spider-Man. I was like, yeah, I'm like Samurai Spider-Man. Now I want to play the Spider-Man game. I want to play too many games.
You have a PlayStation, right? So you have a PS5. You can play that.
I have a PS5.
Wow, you just have a PS5.
You don't have a PS5 though, do you?
I don't have a PS5.
No,
I'm a plebe.
You're You're a plebe. It's fine. It's okay. I did have a bunch of video game. It's funny because we already dipped into the video game portion of the stream, but whatever. I still have more video game chit chat to talk about. I was also never really. I knew this was gonna happen. I wrote down like a whole list of questions to ask you about like stand up and video games. I was like, I'm probably never gonna get these. We're just gonna talk, and it's probably gonna talk about food, which we already did.
Covered.
And now we can talk about video games again. There we go. Hi, yay, video games portion of the stream. The last hour of the stream is supposed to be like the nerdy hour, but
we're in it. We're in the nerdy hour.
We're already dipped into it. Now, it was really funny because when you and I first became friends in comedy, I didn't realize you were such a huge gamer. In fact, I was going to post this on my story, but I didn't. I used the graphic for the show, but I found the picture of us from PAX in 2015.
Yeah, that's when we first really realized how, we realized how nerdy we both were.
We realized that we were both gamers. I was like, and then after that, I saw your joke when you post, that was the one that's on YouTube that's like 6 years old. I watched that joke and I was like, oh my God, Mike has gamer jokes. I want to do gamer jokes. And you made fun of Portland, which is also a good joke too.
It's a fun thing to do, It's a low hanging fruit, but I had a good time with it.
Well, I just did your show with you on Saturday, and you did the wizard joke, which I really love.
That's newer. That's much newer. That's a pandemic joke right there.
You know what? Most of the pandemic for me was like trying to write more video game material. Like I tried to do my Dark Souls joke, which is still, my Twitch stuff is doing a little bit better. But like, have you ever thought about just doing like one whole set of just nerdy jokes?
I have. I've 100% thought of it because I have about like 5, maybe 10 almost minutes of it already. So I think I probably could run it. And there's also, I found in my old notebooks and videos, because I used to do a show at Comic-Con. This was like probably 7 years ago.
Real Nerds of Comedy.
Yeah, the Real Nerds of Comedy thing that I did with my friends Jay and Kane a long, long time ago. And I had video game jokes and comic book jokes from then that I forgot I had, which is a common thing. If you're a comedian, you forget your own jokes and you stop saying them. So I could probably throw those back in. And I'd have to fix them. I don't think they're very good. So I'd go back and fix them and then put them back in.
I never got to be on that show, mainly because you're not booking it anymore.
I wasn't booking it at the time.
But now,
I was just a friend of the bookers.
I think like one of the big things I learned from the pandemic, and I think this just goes for anybody in comedy, and you probably know this, I think it's really important to kind of not stick to a niche, but to have a niche.
Yeah.
Like, Taylor Clark, for example, he's a comedian from here. Ever since he started making jokes about skateboarding, that's been his whole thing now. He's like the skateboarding comic. Yeah. And so for me, the same thing. When I first posted like my anime bit on Twitter, that was when people like started to be like, oh, Lisa tells anime jokes. And so, yeah, I'm like, you have been a big inspiration for all this.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah. I actually I just got a new cut of the video game joke that I'm going to try to put on like Instagram or something.
You absolutely should. I mean, I feel like that's kind of like what I shouldn't say you have to do now, but I think that's like really important for anyone who's doing comedy is like kind of have to stick, because there's so many jokes about the pandemic and politicians and whatever. Everyone just kind of has like there's a lot of the same humor that's just repeated, but whenever somebody has like a good niche joke, I don't care what if it's about, it could be about baseball, skateboarding, like gaming, I think like that is where people find their voice. That's kind of what I'm figuring out right now too.
You got to find your people that like the same kind of things you like,
I know.
Comedy. I love it.
That's also how I know I'm not competitive, because I'm like, watch there one day be a comedian in Seattle have another anime joke, and I just quit comedy. I'm like, I'm done. This person has an anime joke. I don't think
you quit comedy. I think you crush them. You know what I mean?
Crush them. They just
randomly go on before them and you just destroy.
They just randomly disappear one day. It's crazy.
Wow, that's weird.
No, I was gonna ask though. So obviously you've been a gamer your whole life. What was the big thing that like got you into video games? Like, what is your earliest, most fond memory when it came to video games?
I was, I think, 4. I grew up in Alaska. I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I was 4. And I lived on this duplex on Market Street, and it was me and my brother, and then our next door neighbors in the duplex was like this older couple that had grandkids. And they had a Super Nintendo. And my brother and I were like their surrogate grandkids for like a year, where we just go over to their house after daycare and they'd just be cool with us playing their Super Nintendo. And that's where I first played Super Mario World. And that was the game that got me like super into it. And I know that's like a very standard issue. Super Mario World was like everyone's favorite first game, but this was like
Oh,
I'm like she made cookies, and my brother and I played Super Mario World 2 player, and it was just so awesome and rad. And then our babysitters across the street had a Genesis and had Sonic, so I got like both the Sega and the Nintendo at the same time, which was just a super rad Alaskan childhood. Not at all wildery or outside, just inside playing video games, 30 below. That was what it was.
crazy when you look back on those games. Like my first video game ever was literally Zelda on the NES, and my
Oh, so that's a
dad
good one.
helped my 8-year-old sister and 5-year-old me beat the game. Like he walked us through it. And when I try to play it now, I'm like, how the did I ever beat this game? I don't even know where to
Dude,
go.
that's how I feel
Like,
the same way, 100%. Like, I had no idea how I remember. But then, if that's the only thing you're focusing on as a kid, though, like that
or
was your whole world.
my brain developed around Zelda is what
Yeah.
I got from that.
And you know what? Looking back on things, it makes a lot of sense now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does a lot. And then it was the Super Nintendo after that. It played Link to the Past. But like my cousins, I have a bunch of cousins my age. So like my cousins had Sega. And so we would play like the Simpsons game, which I loved. The Simpsons
Oh
game that was
yeah,
on there.
that's a good
You'd be
one.
Homer and you'd go, like go down the water slide. Because we were
Mm-hmm.
huge Simpsons fans growing up. And then we also played Sonic, which I am awful at those games now.
It's so hard.
They're
It's
so much
so.
harder than I remember them
I got.
being.
Did you get the Switch emulator thing with the Sega emulator on it?
Not
The
yet, no.
It's part of like online, and I was like, oh, but this I'll play Sonic 2 because this was like my jam. Like I remember as a kid always getting to the end of Sonic 2, not being able to beat Dr. Robotnik, and then just starting over again because I loved the game so much. I couldn't get past like the third level. I was so bad. I just ran out of lives.
Did you play Sonic Mania?
No, I didn't play that one.
That is really great, but I also could not beat it. I was like, Sonic fans are on a different level of gaming because I couldn't even get halfway through that game, and I was like, I'm terrible at this, and that's really good. It's like basically a new Sonic game that has all the things about Sonic you love in it, like even like the old school levels.
Hmm.
But I'm like, Jesus, my brain does not moves way too slow now for all this.
It
Like,
just gets my brain gets hot just playing those old games. I can't do it. It's so
And
hard.
same thing with, like, when I was, like, when I started playing Pokemon. Were you a big Pokemon fan when you were a kid? Like, the
Oh
Pokemon
yeah,
games?
Pokemon Red. I had Pokemon Red on my Game Boy Color and I was obsessed. I think I played through it 3 or 4 times and I would always I'd play through it, do the glitch to get 99 Master Balls, and then I would go catch all the birds with it and Mewtwo, and then I'd just restart the game. And I did that like
Well,
4 times.
what was so
3 or 4
funny too
times.
is, like, I remember, like, Silver and Gold and, like, Yellow, those are all great games, and I remember I was able to, like, get through them. Like, you would always have, like, your one over-leveled starter. I
Yeah.
never had any debuffs. I never had any I just always did attacks. Like, and then I would manage to get through these games so fast, and then I bought Pokemon Platinum and Black and White, and I was like, "Why are these hard now?"
Yeah.
What happened to that brain I had when I
Dude,
was 8 beating these games?
Pokemon Pearl is the one that got away from me. I don't know what it was. I was older. I had a DS. I was like working a job and I was like, I'll just play Pokemon Pearl. This will be fun. And I just got stuck and I was like, I'm an adult. I don't have time to go back and grind this out. I just stopped playing, I
I was like,
guess.
they either made these games harder or I'm overthinking it. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know where those skills came from as a kid. Like, I also I was big Nintendo. Were you big Nintendo growing up? Or were
Mostly
you
Nintendo. I got a Genesis but I remember I was actually going to ask you this because I had 2 NESs but never had a Super Nintendo. And there's something about the early 90s. Every church auction had an NES. I don't know what it was. And we got like multiple NESs. They'd break and we'd get a new one from a church silent auction. And
that
that
is
was how I
hilarious.
had NES my whole childhood. But I never had the Super. So we got NES, Sega Genesis, and then I had the traditional childhood Christmas time N64 that I got it at Christmas, and I like was that kid, and I
Oh, I
freaked out and I
wish
lost
my
my
mom
mind.
filmed my reaction
I
because
do
I
too.
had a hissy fit when I had to go over to my aunt's house and couldn't play Ocarina of Time. I was like screaming on the ground, crying. I was the worst 8-year-old, but man, what a Christmas to
What a great,
remember.
yeah, that's like my childhood
I have
Christmas with
I have a
gaming.
top loader NES. 'Cause
Oh, you do?
our old NES broke, and then we bought a top loader one, and that one worked, and it still works, and I still have it, and I was like, "I don't even know if those are worth anything," but I, like, showed it on stream one time, everyone's like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a top loader."
Do
Like,
you have it with you right now?
I do, I don't know if it's It's in one of these boxes.
If
But
it's in
yeah,
those boxes, that's fine. I'd never seen a top loader NES. I
yeah,
know they exist. I've never seen one.
It is great, and like my mom recently bought a. Oh, it's at my parents' house because my mom loves Pac-Man. She won't play any other game, but she loves
I
Pac-Man and
love that.
Pac-Mania, and she's so good at them. And she bought one of the old school like joystick ones because she's old now, and she's like, I can't do controllers. And then she bought a joystick, and so I gave it back, and it works fine. I was like, oh my god, it still works. I still have all the games though here, but I think I just gave them the top loader so
That's
she could
a
play.
that's the child of the year gift. You get them one of those old school coffee table top down Pac-Mans with the arcade the joysticks
Oh
on each
yeah, my
side.
uncle has one. Every time I go over there for holidays, I don't pay attention to any family members. I am just on the Namco Museum all night. That's all I'm doing.
Namco Museum. Gosh, that's something that just takes me back. Oh,
I think if I'm ever the only motivation for ever owning a house is so I can have an arcade.
me
That's
too.
that's literally it.
That was my bonus room in Animal Crossing. I feel like your bonus room in Animal Crossing tells a lot
There's
about you.
always an arcade
And in my
with a
house,
DJ.
it was an arcade and it was like weird lighting and crazy wallpaper. I think I went with red brick wallpaper because it just feels like an old school
I did the
pizza
same
place vibe.
thing.
Yeah,
And people gave me like posters of like anime characters and stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is my dream right here.
I love it so much. It's my favorite thing. I
That's
wish
why
I. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why I like all over here, like you can't really see behind me, but I have like all my games in these boxes over here. Like I have a bunch of N64 games. I have a bunch of like I've kept all of them. The only thing I don't have with me is my Super Nintendo because my sister's borrowing it, but she lives a minute from here, so I can steal it
My
from her.
mom did something with my Sega Genesis and she won't admit that she got rid of it. She just goes, I don't know what happened. I'm 34 and she'll still not tell me and admit that she got rid of it because I think she knows how sad I'll get, you
Oh,
know?
Cert knows. I made a comedy stage in Animal Crossing.
I never got to do one of those shows. I wanted to so bad. I wanted someone to ask me to do their Animal Crossing comedy show
I
because you
never did a
could.
show, but I just built a stage because I was sad and I wanted to do comedy.
Can we 5 years from now do a rehash of the Animal Crossing comedy show?
Yes. Have you
Can we just
played
bring it
Animal
back?
Crossing since then? It is so sad.
Oh
On
yeah, weeds everywhere,
oh,
cockroaches
on
littering
my
my island.
on my flight to I think it was on my flight to San Diego. It was like 2.5 hours, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna turn on Animal Crossing for 2.5 hours as my villagers yelling at me, telling me I thought you died or why'd you leave us behind? There's cockroaches and weeds everywhere, and then they walk into your house with no consent. Like, they don't let you clean. They're just like, "I'm coming by," and they walk in, they're like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And then they leave. It is so like, that game made me feel like shit. Like, I was like, "Jesus, I'm
First
sorry
thing
I abandoned you. I provided you a home, damn it." Like,
first thing that happens is Tom Nook puts you into this predatory loan that you can't get out of, and then you get FOMO guilt tripped by your weird like animal friends on your island.
all my plants are dying. Like, I
Oh
have
yeah.
weeds everywhere. Dom is sick and he's tired of me. Everyone's trying to leave. I was like, oh my God, guys, I was not even the star of this place. I provided you a home. You don't have to pay rent. It's like when my cats complain about not getting enough food. I'm like, you guys just ate. You
It's a
just ate.
miracle my cat hasn't come in here and just completely ruined this show yet.
Been
I'm
sleeping
so
in the corner
surprised.
over here the whole
World's
time.
worst podcast producer, Delilah. That's what I call her. She's the worst producer ever.
I do love that you're a cat person. I
I
very
am a
much
cat person. I love dogs too, but because my fiance has a cat and I didn't know how I'd feel about it. I was like, I don't know. And then within like 2 months, I was like, who's my little buddy? Just walking around the house all the time. Like, who's my best friend?
I
And she'd just
love
scream at me.
dogs too, but like I think my problem is like I when I was a little kid I got bit by a dog on my eyebrow. I still have a scar from it. And so I'm always really hesitant around like dogs because they're very like unpredictable with their actions. And they're very like they just like when they jump on you it hurts, you know. But like I had like a friend that had like three giant dogs and like I had to be like, man, I can't come over. Why? I'm like, it's too much dog energy.
That makes
Like
sense.
it's like I have
They
no problem with dogs. It's just like cats. It's just like if you have three cats, okay, you have three cats. Like
Most dogs want to love you and they're aggressive about it. Meanwhile,
I know.
cats want to love you on their terms, which I think I
Yeah.
like more.
I do love that my kitten's scared of everybody but me. She's
I
obsessed with
felt
me.
so bad because she's so cute, and I walked into your house, and then she just ran and sprinted under the sofa, and like her little butt wiggled while she was trying to hide under the sofa, which was hilarious. And I felt so sad. I'm like, I'm gonna make this cat love me Okay,
I'm gonna
that's the
make her my
goal.
best friend. That's my
I'm
new
gonna make this
goal.
cat my best friend. Yeah, that's right.
It makes for great streaming content because they know exactly what time they eat because I'm such a structured person. So she'll like come in and like jump on my lap and like sit here and like claw into my knee because she's like, it's time to feed me, girl. I don't know what you're doing. I think it's like my cats have made me realize how much time I spent on my phone too. Like
Oh,
they've like also like because I haven't had anyone else here. Like I've always had roommates, and like roommates, you're always more aware of your surroundings because you're like, this person knows what I do and I just don't want them to like misjudge me. But like I've been so addicted to my phone for like the last 2 years because of COVID. Now my cats make me realize that. Like they'll start like not like clawing on me if I'm on my phone too much. And
they're
like
like they just put their paw on your phone like Lisa.
I lock
It's
my
time to put
room at
Instagram
night
down.
when I play Slay the Spire on my phone because I don't want my cats to judge me.
They're like, she's been on this game for hours. She hasn't
I
passed
and you know what? It's
once.
Taylor's fault that I'm addicted to that game. Okay.
Slay the Spire?
Yeah.
It's a good game.
It's a really good game. And then other people are like, well, you should play this other card game. Like, or I shouldn't because this one already takes over my life. I'm like 200 hours into it and I still haven't beaten the heart. Only with one character so far. I'm
Slay the
really bad.
Spire was one of those games where I started playing it and I like turned it off after an hour and I'm like, I can't play this game again because I'll become obsessed with it. And I know that's like a problem for me. So I had to stop myself because
That's
it
me
was
with a lot of like franchises. Like we were actually talking about this the other day. I really, really, really want to play the Metal Gear series all the way through. I played Metal Gear 2 growing up. I don't think I was old enough to even get any of the niche humor or anything. I just played with like my cousins. And then I played 5 cuz my partner at the time was obsessed with Metal Gear Solid. So we always played 5 together and I loved it. I was like, "Oh my god, this game's so goofy and there's so much to do and I'm should never play this franchise." Like that was immediately where my brain was like, "This will ruin my life."
and it's got like weird anime villains, like the kind of thing that you would love to. Like I think it would become a whole new obsession, like
Oh
Yakuza
yeah.
style obsession for you.
I have inherited a Venom Steak Nendoroid. I still have it. It's like a $90 like figure and I still have it in the box. And so I'm
Really?
like, yeah, and so I'm like, eventually I'm gonna love it. I mean, I can grab you wanna
You
see
gotta play
it?
those
You wanna
games,
see
and then
it?
you gotta be like, "Look at this thing I love." I've never
I can
actually
grab that for you. You can see
I tried to play Metal Gear as, like,
it.
on the I think it was on Xbox Game Pass, they put, like, the collection on there.
I will play it though, just because streaming is like, I now have an excuse to play these, but like, look at this. Like, this is a
That's a good figurine.
it's a great
It's
figurine.
got little guns too, little silenced pistol.
And it was so funny because you take it out of the box and do, like, photo shoots with it. It was
Oh, that's
ridiculous,
great.
and I was like, I did that with my Zelda Nendoroid. I, like, put it in the grass. I took, like, little professional photos of it, and I was like, "Okay, this is why I shouldn't have toys."
We did
That's
a
what
series on the podcast on Metal Gear Solid because it's one of Tyler's favorite game series of all
Wait, you
time.
haven't done it?
We have done it. We
Oh,
did
you
it.
have?
We did
Oh.
it. It was Tyler. So we each kind of take an idea and run with it, and we kind of teach the other person. So I didn't know anything about Metal Gear, so he took that over and explained it to me, and he got me so hyped for it that I really need to play this games. Like, because apparently something crazy happens in is it Metal Gear Solid 2 or Metal Gear Solid 3? Like, there's some weird story thing going on there that I have. You have to play it, is what he told me. So, and I
I
haven't
am
spoiled it for myself, and I think I need to just buckle down and play it sometime
I am a
because
very big fan of games that surprise me with its ridiculousness. That's why I love
yeah.
the Yakuza games so much because it's like they have a very serious storyline and a lot of silly side content. Or as I put it too, like my first Devil May Cry game was Devil May Cry 5. DMC5. Wow, it's a really long sentence when you say it out loud. And the whole time I was playing this game, I was like, dude, this is like if Fast and the Furious was a video game. Like, it's just like, let's see how crazy and ridiculous we can make every mechanic. There's like giant explosions. It's like very like over the top. And I was like, I'm in love with this shit. And I think that's also why I would love Metal Gear Solid or like any of the Metal Gear games, is because I feel like the story would just be like so ridiculous. I'd be like, yes, I love it.
The Metal Gear Solid also has long names going for it because it's like Metal Gear Solid Guns of the Patriots, the Sons of Liberty. Like they have really like crazy subtitles that always crush it every time too.
And I also love
And
how he plays an old man.
yeah, very parodyable. Someone wanted to do a workout routine that was Metal Gear Solid themed. And it was called Buns of the Patriots. That was what a
Buns
listener
of the
suggestion.
Patriots.
Yeah, one of our listeners said that. And I'm like, that's really good. Like a snake runs a workout routine and it's called Buns of the Patriots. I'm like, that is a perfect parody, I think.
I don't know if no one really knows this about you
It's
and
like, you could do it.
but
Work those
like
glutes.
Mike and I like to ruin an early
Oh,
2000s alternative rock and emo songs by changing the lyrics to poop and fart. It's
I
always
really, that's all we do in the car too. And
it's
that's
like we break
also,
out into the worst musical ever.
you don't even want to do it. I just, my brain just goes there. Like I did something, was it deodorant to motorin? I was like, deodorant.
Deodorant.
Because he said before the, you're like, oh, I got to put deodorant on. I was just like, deodorant.
You have ruined so many songs for me.
Oh,
I love it.
the worst.
That's also why I love like like games that don't take themselves too seriously, because I think there's a problem with game narratives. I think it was actually Death Stranding, which I haven't played yet, so correct me when I'm wrong, but like a
I
lot of people are
haven't
like
played that either. It looks weird.
it was like Kojima was making this game seem like it's like this really, really serious game, like, and I'm sure it is, but like everyone also knows it's ridiculous. And it's like, I think games that know not to take themselves too seriously are the best. And I think that's why like Devil May Cry and Yakuza work out so well, is because we can tear at your heartstrings, but we also are aware of how silly this is.
And didn't you
The
say that?
first Strand type game. Yeah, that's what it was. It's like, what the hell is a Strand type game? You
Isn't
know?
that what you said that Earthbound was like that for you, right? Because it's like it's gut wrenching, but then you have this dialogue that is just so doesn't match the situation, or it's just a weird
It is
localization.
It is so good. Like I always see that like meme. I think it was like the hard drive mag where it's like, you know how they have like the onion titles. It says Die Hard Earthbound fan plays the game for the first time, because it's like,
The Onion, yeah, that's a
yeah,
good.
right? Like when Undertale came out, like it was obviously like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, like this was inspired by my Earthbound and Mother 3." And I feel like everyone after that became like an Earthbound fan without actually playing the game. And so and I'm because I remember people like, "Oh yeah, this is just like Earthbound." I was like, "Have you played the game?" "Well, no. I heard the songs like match up and blah blah." I'm like, "Well, you haven't played the game yet." And so in my head, I was like, I really want to play it because I know how iconic it is, but I don't know if it'll hold up because it's an old school JRPG. And like I'm not a big JRPG person. Like I'm trying to be. Like I'd never gotten a Final Fantasy. I played a Xenoblade, and I liked it, but like the whole like turn-based grinding system, it's something that doesn't interest me as much. But Earthbound is so charming because it's like 1995, and it's so silly, and it's really, you can honestly tell why it has such a cult following, I guess. It's
And
so good, and
I
I love
knew
it.
I knew I would love the game the minute that you wake up as Ness and then a meteor crashes in the middle of the night. All right. And then your mom's just like, well, you might as well go get dressed because I know I'm not going to stop you anyway. And that's just how they justify this little kid walking outside in the middle of the night with all these cops everywhere. Just like, it's totally fine. It's totally
I
fine.
just love that you get a bee friend in the beginning. You're like, this bee is gonna be with through my
Oh
entire
my
journey,
God.
and then your
That
neighbor kills it.
that crushed me. That's when I stopped playing. That's when you and I stopped playing. Like you stopped showing me, and I was just like, "This is so horrible to me," because I loved this bee. I fell in
That's
love with
another
this bee
thing.
for a brief period of
So
time.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you, obviously, but I also knew that the ending boss in Earthbound was notoriously like traumatizing, because it was kind of like the end of Undertale, like when you fight. I don't know if you ever played Undertale.
I
Have you?
played a
How?
little bit. We talked about this. I started it, and I didn't really I did an episode on it. This is where I was talking about like playing the game but not really getting the full thing. I did an episode on Undertale for the podcast that I feel like I should have put more into of playing the game because I didn't get what the person was doing. It was like, to me, it just felt like, oh, you can fight people or friend them. That's the big mechanic. But there's so much more going on there with that I missed out on. And so I probably want to
And
redo that.
I watched a review on it first that said play it the first time without killing anything to see if you like it. And it was really hard because I think the game is great because you actually have to be good at it, because you have to avoid attacks. So you have to be really good at avoiding shit, because it gets hard if you're not leveling up. Like you'll die pretty easily. But then that made me like want to actually like play. I played the game and I really liked it. And I remember like the final boss was like, Jesus Christ, this is like dark. And everyone's like, oh. well, you clearly haven't played blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I haven't. And then I played Earthbound, I streamed it, and the final boss is so it's so I can't even explain it. It was like it was a really terrifying experience that broke my stream because of like the distortion and stuff, and the music is terrifying. It took me out. And then like once it got to the ending part where everything's like done, I was just like dead silent for like 5 minutes. Like, what the hell did I just do? It's a pretty long game. And then I started Mother 3, and I'm not gonna spoil that, but that's even more sad.
We
In
said again.
the first hour of the game, the worst, saddest thing happens in the first chapter of the game. And
It's
then I
like
was like, oh,
it's like the up of video games. Just the first 10 minutes
oh
just kill
yeah.
you.
And then because unfortunately there's no legal way of obtaining a localized version of it, you have to emulate it, sadly. I never emulated a game before in my life. My save file got corrupted, so I was like, "Oh man, I'm so glad I don't have to do that again, just for me to have to do it again, just to have to go through the same sad thing again on stream." I'm actually gonna stream it tomorrow night, and I'm like, I know this game's gonna break my heart.
I
It was
watched that stream of you having to redo it again too.
oh
Because
my
it's like
god.
didn't save a suspended state. It like the game save didn't work, right? Like the inner.
Yeah, I now have figured it out to like I'm just gonna do it outside of the game to save it, but I think one thing my community likes is to like they like to watch me suffer. So they were just like, "This is great content." I'm like, "This is terrible content. You guys suck." That was another thing. Flanders Nub.
I was gonna say I looked
I
at the
named all my
Simpsons reference
characters
too.
after Simpsons characters. Ralph and Wiggum. I was like, "Why did I do this?" I named a character Daddy. It was the worst thing.
I'm just a big fan of still the Lee Carvalho's putting challenge reference that you had. That's my favorite one you made.
Oh, everyone, that's another thing is like my OCD ties into whatever I'm obsessed with at the moment, which means that since I am at the meat of the good parts of Simpsons, every single stream is just going to be a Simpsons reference at this point. Like, which is great. I feel like one thing I hate about streaming is like you have to come up with stream titles and people can be boring, but I don't want to be boring. So now I just put a random Simpsons quote in there and then I
You
get follows from it. So there you go.
You know what Simpsons game I was really a big fan of, even though it was a straight up clone of another game, was Simpsons Road Rage, which
I
was
was
just
going to
Crazy
say
Taxi, but
like
it was with
Simpsons
Simpsons.
or
I
Simpsons
love
Hit
that.
and Run.
Yeah, that was like Grand Theft Auto with Simpsons, right?
Yeah,
Hit and Run.
Simpsons games were really great. I just remember the one on Sega where it's like you had a bunch of like little mini games you had to do, and it was all references like certain episodes. And I just remember like being Homer and being stuck in the water slide. That was like one that stuck with me when I was a little kid.
So we haven't talked about this yet, because we talked about like games that were on N64 that were kind of like, because Lego Racers was a part of the whole like Mario Kart trying to be Mario Kart. My favorite N64 game is called Snowboard Kids. Did you ever play
For
Snowboard
kids
Kids?
too. I have a Snowboard Kids 2 t-shirt. I
You do?
love Snowboard
I
Kids.
I played the first one,
I
but
have both. I have both physical copies.
do you know that Snowboard Kids 2 cart's worth like $90 now?
Well, I
Because
have one,
you should
so
hold on to it for dear life, because that's the when I told you earlier I want to buy these carts that are super expensive. I was talking about Snowboard Kids 2 because I have the first one and I loved that game, but I never played 2. But that was just like Mario Kart, but on a downhill. And do you remember
oh,
trying
it's
to get into the
so fun.
chairlift? Like the
Oh god.
chairlift is what would when you'd like lose your place in the race, because you'd all like run into the chairlift at the same time, and it was just luck whoever beeped it
Dude,
first and went to the top of the mountain.
Snowboard Kids was so fun. I love the level designs too. It was like same thing with like Diddy Kong Racing. Like those I want those games to come back so bad. I
Oh
need
yeah.
Rare to let us play Diddy Kong Racing
Is
so
Diddy
bad.
Kong Racing not a part of it, like collection or something?
No, I don't know
That's so
why.
strange.
Well,
It's got to be a Nintendo licensing thing.
Banjo-Kazooie is now, and so is Banjo-Tooie, so I'm sure it's gonna come out. But like, yeah, Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2 are like my two favorite like sports games. And Wave Race, they're so
Wave Race
good.
is so. Oh man, Super Bowl parties. I was a kid, did not care about football, but they always had a 64 at this one kid's house, and I knew the codes to Wave Race to like make it so he would play it, like ride the thing backwards or do like a handstand. And I was like the popular kid at the party for that 1 hour, showing everyone how to put these cheat codes in. I remember
Oh my
this.
god,
It's
dude.
fond
I
memory of Wave
remember
Race.
having to go on like game cheats to find codes.
Oh, Game
Oh,
Sharks, Game
yeah, Game
Genies.
Shark, Game Genie. I had a Game Shark for my Game Boy. It was ridiculous. I was like, Now it's like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Live Evil Pod. Welcome. You're a first time viewer. This is Lisa's Lair. Oh, for anybody, I should say. I should probably reintroduce the show now that we're an hour and 40 minutes. This is Lisa's Lair. This is a bi-weekly talk show I host here on the Evil Geniuses channel. We talk about I basically have all sorts of careers on here. We talk about video games now and food and 90s rock music. So there we
And
go.
cats.
It is a little less esports focused, but we do talk about esports on here. But it is a great way to get to know creators here at EG and other people. So welcome, and I hope you come back. It's every other Monday. What I was gonna say too is well, I'm gonna make fun of you for this, but I don't make fun of you. I think it's adorable that you played all of Dark Souls 1 with a guide.
I didn't play all of it either. I just started it and I played it with a guide because I was like, I wasn't in
I
the
knew
mood
there
to
would be a guide for that game.
I wasn't in the mood to play. Well, one, I wanted to have like someone teach me. I wanted to have you by my side essentially to help me out, but you weren't available. So I had this YouTube guy, like Montana something is his name, and he played it through. And it's like, this guy's pretty cool. He seems pretty chill. This guy I never met, but I listened to his video. And so I would just like start an area. I try to get through it the best I can. If I got stuck, I'd ask this dude,
Which is weird. I feel like that's such a weird game because it's not open. I considered it open world, even though it's not open world, because there's no route you take. Like you just keep going, and then you can choose to do the first official boss, and when you're done, you have many different ways you can go. Like I remember like fighting boss and be like, "You're here too early." I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just playing the game." So the fact that there is a guide of like the right way to play it is hilarious to me. Dark
It's
Souls
just
3 I felt like was more like linear, where it's like you have to go here next. Dark
yeah,
Souls 1 was just everywhere.
this guy, he would like show you the path and he'd do things that I'm like, I'm gonna skip that, like I'm not gonna do that thing, I'll just gonna deal with it later. Like he'd always go to like try to do, he'd get like find everything in an area, and I'm not interested in that. I just want to play the game,
You're
get
not
the
me. You don't like
experience.
garbage.
I just don't want to collect stuff anymore. I thought
love
I wanted to
garbage.
collect stuff in Tunic, and I just stopped. I'm like, you know what, I beat Tunic, I
Tunic
got all
was
the pages.
frustrating.
I find that it's frustrating that in order to get the good ending, I had to type in an 800 character code that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to figure out in that game. It's a puzzler's game, and I'm not a
My
big puzzle
stream watched
person.
me have my breaking point with that game.
They were like, "Oh, Lisa's done."
I'm like, I'm done. I
Did you
also
beat the boss, the final boss, or did you do the other thing?
I did, but I turned off stamina because I was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to die anymore. And I turned
I
off
was
no fail because I was
I
like, I just
was
want to beat the game.
I was very mad when you told me you could turn off stamina because I did
I
not
didn't
know
even
that, and
know
I
until
beat the
you had
game
that.
with stamina, and it was painful. The last
I
boss.
didn't even know that until you had the no boss, until that they made you do a boss rush in that game. I was like, why would maybe make me do this enemy rush thing? This is stupid. And so that's
Oh,
when I
to
turned
get the
it off.
crown?
Yes. I was like,
Yeah.
this is no game should ever make you do this.
That
You know
wasn't
what I
that
mean?
hard for me. What was hard for me was the final boss and figuring out the strategy, and then I found a cheese. Some real tasty, stinky cheese.
You gave him some blue cheese.
It was blue cheese because I switched my red potions to mana potions and I froze them the whole time.
I
That's what I
used to
did.
be the type of it's funny, I could see how I have personally developed over the years with gaming because I grew up obviously like a girl playing video games. I was constantly made fun of for it. Like I was constantly called fake gamer all the time because I played mainly Nintendo games, which was so stupid to me.
Which is
All the
funny because now that's like the real gamer thing. Oh, you played Mario and like when you were that's like being a real gamer.
Also,
Get
any
me.
game is like if it's a video game, it's a video game. So like all the guys when they started playing like COD and like Halo, I was still on my Nintendo shit and they would be like, "Well, you're not a real gamer." And like, yeah, they were just mean, shitty teenagers, but that really stuck with me. And so one of the reasons why I started playing more challenging games is because like I wanted to kind of prove that I was good at games. So like my first one was like was Super Meat Boy, which I never beat because it was so fucking hard. But then I
I
started
stopped
playing,
doing that game too. That
yeah,
game's hard.
and then Hollow Knight, which I did beat and didn't realize it was a hard game until I streamed it. Everyone's like, this is a hard game. I was like, okay. And then I started playing the Souls games and stuff. And I was like, wow, I'm actually like really good at these games. And I'm really good at these games because I played Zelda games growing up and like learned mechanics from it. And it's like, yes, these games have helped me become a better gamer like over time. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, fuck it. I'll use the cheat way, the easy way. Like
Yeah.
on Elden Ring, I beat one of the hardest bosses using an overpowered weapon in like my mimic tier, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, but she's more of a challenge when you use a like normal weapon." But like this game provided me this.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm also 120 hours in this game. I want to beat it. That's how I felt about Tunic. I'm like, I've gotten far enough where I know I could beat it with if I had stamina on, but I only have an hour left of streaming, so I'm gonna just beat it because I'm not gonna stream until midnight. It's like no one should feel ashamed to have to look up stuff. Like yeah, like you said, we're old. We don't have time to spend on 7 hours on a boss. You
One
know what I
of
mean?
my favorite things I've done, like last year, Tyler and I, my co-host of the Codex podcast, played all of the Gears of War games, and we just put that on easy mode. We're like, let's just blow through these games and get the story. And it was fun, just playing co-op with a friend and just not stressing out, just really just hanging out while getting the story that everyone, because I never played him before and he'd never played through him before. And it was like a really fun experience. We did that with Quake also this year. We played the original Quake and just put that. We didn't even have to put it on easy mode. We just did it, but it
Like
was
Yakuza games, a couple of them I
super
put on
fun.
easy mode just because I wanted to get through the story. But yeah, it was Melania. But also, my stream watched me suffer through one of the Dark Souls 3 DLC bosses for 7 hours I spent on one boss.
Dude,
2 full streams. And I was like, I'm
three,
gonna fucking murder someone. Like, if I have
yeah.
to do this, and when I won, yes, it was like everyone praised me, whatever. But at that point, I wasn't even proud. I was just like, God damn it! Now I gotta go to the next hard boss. Like, it was oh
I didn't tell
gosh.
this. This is a confessional to Sad Wizard because I play League with him. But one of the nights I was really mad last week when I was playing League with them, I was just in a bad mood, was because I spent 3 hours fighting that Tunic boss before. I was so mad. Because it just puts you in a bad mood when you like sit and you struggle and then you beat it and you're like, ah, that's it, I guess. All right, move on to the next one. Okay. And then it put me in a bad
Yeah.
mood like the rest of the evening.
I
Just
definitely think if it wasn't for streaming, I would have definitely stopped playing Sekiro. Like, I cried when I beat it because I could not believe I was willing to fucking suffer. Every boss took me at least an hour or two. There was not one boss in Sekiro I could just cheese and win. Like, I suffered the entire game. And when I beat it, people were like, "Oh man, you must be so good at video games because you beat this." I'm like, "No, a 40-hour game took me 80 hours to beat. I am not good. I just was willing to suffer because it's good stream content." Like,
I looked at my time in Tunic versus like the average time on howlongtobeat.com and I was like, yep, I'm bad at video games. Okay, good to know.
I
Good to know.
also think howlongtobeat.com people definitely lie.
Oh, you think? Yeah, I mean that's true.
Oh, for
There's no
sure.
verification on that, huh? They just go
When
for
the
it.
when
They're like
Elden Ring
twin galaxies.
when Elden Ring first came out, like the first couple weeks I said how long to beat, people were saying like 60, 70 hours. I'm like, they didn't beat the game yet. Because every person I know, well, obviously if you do New Game Plus and stuff, it would take you, like Tyler Smith, had a show with on Saturday, said he can beat the entire game in less than 3 hours now because
Didn't
he's
he
done.
platinum trophy it
He
too?
platinumed it. But like at first, no way. Everyone I knew took at least like 100 hours. Unless
Yeah.
you were just I mean, for me it's like if you're rushing through it, yes, maybe 60, 70, but I don't consider that beating the game. Like I'm like there's so much stuff you have to do. Like when you played Ocarina or Breath of the Wild, people are like, "Oh yeah, I beat the game in like 5 hours." I'm like, "So you got through the 3-hour tutorial and just went straight for Ganon's castle. Like you didn't do any of the main
Mm-hmm.
key things in the game." Like what is considered beating the game? But like yeah, they
I,
don't like happiness, they just wanna be miserable.
yep,
There
I
you go.
agree with Big Fun Ben. Nailed it. That's how I feel like I played Jedi Fallen Order, which I didn't even know was like a Souls-like game, if you want to say that. Before I played it. I probably in the middle of it. But I just liked the game, and that I think made it feel better for me.
There are some games where I'm like, I genuinely love playing Bloodborne. Bloodborne is, to me, the hardest of the Souls games. I think Sekiro is harder, but I think as, like, just actual Souls mechanic, it's the hardest. But I love it because I love the aesthetic, and it's just fun to, like, grind through. But, like, I did not get the same feeling when I played Tunic. I'm like, "This is hard and not fun."
See,
Like,
but
this is you
Tunic
know what I
gave me
mean? Yeah.
these like Zelda nostalgic feels that I was chasing, I think. I think I was in the mood for Tunic. Like that was because you got to be in a mood for a game, right? Like there's no sense trying to play something if you're not ready for it.
Also, to me, like challenging games are like Sonic. Like Sonic the Hedgehog is so challenging because why the
Oh
fuck can
yeah.
I beat it at 32? Like,
I
why
watched
can't
someone
I?
do the speed run of like it's like asshole Mario, where they do the crazy tricks and they
Yeah.
spin to bounce on spikes and like go through a level
Oh, you like
super fast.
Mario Maker? Have you seen
Yeah,
like those? Like,
Mario Maker. It was
why?
yeah, and I was like, how is this done? I don't think I would ever have fun doing this. And you took something I love, which is just Mario, and you turned it into something I would hate more than anything in the
You
whole
turned it into
world.
a nightmare.
Yeah, pure nightmare fuel.
It's the same thing with those runs on Pokemon where it's like if your Pokemon faints, you get rid of it. What's the
Nuzlocks?
Nuzlocke?
Oh
I've
yeah.
never done a Nuzlocke
I
run.
I messaged you because I wanted
You
you to do a
did!
Nuzlocke
That was
run.
you, yeah.
Because I was like, if someone could do this that's really good at video games, it's Lisa. She could do this. The fact that you have to just discard a fainted Pokemon would make me so sad.
That's the thing is I get too
It's just to make
attached
you
to, like
suffer.
I get really attached to, like, animals in games. Like, one of my mods always asks me to play Monster Hunter, and I say no because I feel bad for the monsters. They're just chilling. You just walk up and you kill them.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like
it's
that
like
Shadows of the Colossus game.
I
Like
feel
it's
like we're the
just sadder.
monsters of the game, you know?
Hmm.
At least it's easier to kill monsters in, like, games where they're actually, like, aggressive and ugly, but, like, I can't play Monster Hunter because 'cause I'm like, "There's just a giant dragon sleeping, you guys walk up and you murder it." Like, I can't do it. It's just and people make fun of you, but I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, that's also why I hate when my Animal Crossing characters get mad at me for being gone. It's like, "Bitch, you live on my island for free and you're adorable. I don't wanna see you upset."
Rent-free, adorable, angry, guilt-tripping animals. That's what
Jim did
Lisa
a bunch of
loves.
Nuzlocke runs, there was much suffering and sadness. Yeah, I don't wanna watch that.
Because you have to name them too. You have to name the Pokemon. You have to name it because that's what makes you attached to it. And then if they faint, then you have to like throw them in the PC or release them, which I think releasing is more cruel, which really hits the thing. I watched one where you had to Wonder Trade the one away, which I thought was pretty funny to Wonder Trade the dead Pokemon because then you'd end up with just like an army of Pidgeys in your PC.
Jeez. Just have all these Pidgeys, it's
Yeah,
fine.
just all these Pidgeys because everyone on Wonder Trade is either giving you a hacked Pokemon or a Pokemon that's like level 3 that
Oh,
you just find at the
no.
beginning
I
of the
see,
game.
I can't do that. Like, it's so funny how I do not get emotionally attached to characters as much, like except for, like, Yakuza. I don't know what it is, but something about, like, disgruntled old men in video games, like, makes my heart, like, weep. But, like, if they look like a cat boy, I'm like, "Whatever, they're a little shit." Like, when I was playing Final Fantasy Remake and there was, like, a couple death scenes in there, I was like, "Ugh, this is not this is a weird death scene. I don't like it. Whatever, time to move on." But if it's, like, a Yakuza goon who obviously is gonna die, I'm like, this is messed up, man. I
It's
shouldn't
so
have to
hard for
watch
you.
it. It's so hard for me to watch this 56-year-old criminal just die in his arms. Like, "You owe me a pizza," which is the worst line in a death I don't know if you've played I never played the original Final Fantasy VII, did you?
No.
I played only the remake, which I kinda wish I played the original first, but I do know it's, like, such a long game, but ugh, they took, like, the game was way too long. I mean, they took, like, one part of an original game and turned into a 50-hour game, and so by the time it got to the sad scenes, I also wasn't a huge fan of Cloud because I had no emotional attachment to him. I was just like, I just want this game to be over. Like, and people are like, this scene's so sad. And I felt bad because there was like big Final Fantasy VII fans in my chat. And I think that's like the thing about streaming that like makes me upset is that like people genuinely watch people's streams because they love that game. Like I had a lot of following viewers during the Yakuza phase because they just love to watch people's reactions, which puts a lot of pressure on you because you're like, if I react negatively, they're gonna hate me. Like, so it's like I'm watching this death scene and everyone's like, "It's so sad." And I was like, "No, don't die."
But in your mind, you're like, I don't care about any of these people. And it happened to be my Final Fantasy history was torn apart because I played Final Fantasy VIII first, and that game, if you level up the way you're supposed to, becomes incredibly difficult. And that's what I did, and I got stuck. Like I played for like
Yeah,
25 hours, I got stuck, I couldn't beat it, and then I just quit. And that was my Final Fantasy experience for the longest time. Because I've heard the way you beat 8 now is you don't level your character, but you change your spells or something. And that's the
I
way
don't
you like
know.
get through the
I don't
game.
like
But I've
that
never played.
shit.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Because I wanted to
Thank
have a cool gun
you.
blade. Neat stuff.
Magic is stupid in games. I hate it, but I have to use it a lot now because of like JRPGs and whatnot. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we have a clip of the very end of Yakuza 0 where I learn what happens to Kiryu, which is actually very common knowledge because it's a prequel to the main game. But I was like, I think I might have not been sober, but I was crying so hard. I bawled my eyes out on that
I
stream for
love
like
that.
I was just like nasally and red and just snotty. It was so gross. I don't think I've ever cried like that ever for in my life. It was like you were super drunk. Yep, there you go. The first year of streaming, we just kind of erased because it was the beginning of the pandemic. I had a bad roommate situation, so I was just drunk on every
It
stream. We had
was
White Claw Wednesdays every day.
it was your Oops All Four Loco streaming days. Is that
Oops,
what it
all
was?
four locos, yes.
Oops
Now
All
I'm
Four
like
Locos.
now I'm like sober and then I get mad that I can't get emotional. It's like that's because I'm completely sober right now. But yeah,
Oh
it
man.
was very funny to people loved watching that reaction though. That was when I first started streaming. And the most viewers I had was that Yakuza stream. I had like over 100 viewers when I beat it, and I was just a mess. And then
You were
all of a
just
sudden,
sobbing into your controller.
oh, now I have no shame. I cry so easily now. It's unreal. Like it's just part of who I am. And that's why I love streaming and like video games is because it's like that part of me. I don't cry on stage unless it's the dope show. So
Oh man, that dope show is just so it just freaks me out every time. And that's why he keeps having me back because I lose my mind every time.
you also are a great comedian to work with on there because
Oh, thank you.
for those who don't know, the Dope Show is a show in Washington. I think he also does Oregon and other places, but you do a set sober and then you have to smoke weed. Sorry, EJ. It's legal
Marijuana.
here, marijuana, and then you have to do a set on that, and it is a very interesting show to go to. Laredo Potato, I don't know if you're still here, but when you move here, you definitely have to go to one because they are so fun. And Mike and I do them a lot. And every time I've done it. I think you've probably been on like what, 10 of them?
Yeah, I don't smoke weed either, so I only smoke weed when Tyler pays me to do it on this show.
Yeah, I did it like 10 times and I don't really smoke that much anymore, but every time I do the show, I either cry on stage or I get really bad anxiety. We did it 3 days ago, and at the end of my set, I said, "Can I get off the stage now?"
Yeah, I would cry laughed. I laughed so hard at that because I was like, I've been there. I've been that high what Lisa's doing right now, where you just like, I just want to leave. I just want to go. I just want to go sit in a corner in the dark.
Dover said, "Can I get off the stage now?"
Tyler's like, yeah, come on.
Oh my god, it was so great. I love doing those shows though.
I do too. It's fun because Tyler knows that I don't smoke. So when he brings me on during the high set, he's like, come on. Like he has his arms up, like, come on, you can do this. Get out here. Like it's really funny.
Embarrassing every time we do it. It is such a good show though. It is so
It
much
is.
better than a drinking show because at least by then it's like you can sober up and be fine. But like the drinking ones were always
Those drinking shows were just like, again, how did they get away with that? And how that was just the Wild West of Washington comedy, I
it's
feel like at
amazing
the
what
moment.
you can get away with here in Washington State.
Yes. It is
When I went
so
to Lisa lost the concept of time. How long have I been going?
that's the thing though, is you think you're up there high and you're like, I'm doing so great. Oh, cool, I gotta get off soon. You look down at your clock and you're like, I've been on stage for 2 minutes and this has felt like 10, and I hate everything right now.
It is the worst. It is the worst and best experience for comedy. But we are at time. But I
Oh,
just
we're
want
at
to
time.
say, which is the perfect time to leave off because we started talking about comedy again. So if you are in the Seattle area, you should definitely come see Mike Coletta do comedy. But you also do a lot of traveling shows. Do you have any shows coming up?
I'm gonna be in Olympia, Washington this weekend, and then I go and do like Wichita, Kansas, and Oklahoma City and stuff this summer. It's all on ColettaComedy.com. But if you really want
Not
to go to
Mike
the good
Coletta.
website, go to MikeColettaComedy.com or MikeColetta.com. Don't go to ColettaComedy.com for like a minute, look at my dates, and then go to MikeColetta.com. That's the way better website.
You should also follow Mike Coletta. There's his @ right there on Instagram and Twitter because you are very wholesome and hilarious,
Oh,
and you post
thank you.
pictures of your cats, which
I
is
do.
like we all like Delilah, you know.
Delilah's the best. She's the best one.
But you have been a wonderful guest to take the plunge at the new Lisa's Lair format.
I loved
Even
it.
though I kind of trailed off my organization, but that's because we're such good friends. I
We
just love
are.
hanging out and talking to you, and you're a huge nerd, and everyone should go listen to Mike's podcast, both podcasts, because Monica's fantastic. But
Mhm.
also, Mike does not stream, but if you do, I'm sure he loves getting video game suggestions from
I
the
do. I
audience.
do. I need to play more video games.
But yes, so go follow everybody. And yes, thank you so much for joining. I have another episode in a couple weeks with another special guest as always. So thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your night. Say
Thank
bye to the
you.
camera. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.